everyone, and welcome to the space for the penultimate match of the LCK Cup. We're here in the loser bracket finals between D plus Kia and Gen G. Digon here alongside Wolf and Wadid to break things down as we get ready for this loser bracket finals.
We weren't sure what path we'd take, but pretty much every big LCK playoffs has a Gen G versus D plus series that goes the distance. And, you know, if we had a map of the LCK, it would be like, you are here, right? You know? And I mean, I guess we'll take a look at the bracket, and you can actually, like, you know, in your mind, you can cast that you are here. Because we've had 2/3 of our series go to Game 5, and I feel like today might just deliver the same story.
Yeah, especially with the field list draft, you cannot expect just normal, boring 3-0s, right? I think there are some creative picks as well, even though it's the meta champions are not banned. They're actually trying new picks, and it's really exciting. So it's going to happen today as well, because we are having DK and Gen G.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that, there have been more 5-game series than there haven't. Just, you know, whether it was a 3-0 or a 3-1, it has been an absolutely exciting LCK Cup. And speaking of exciting, these series between Gen G and D plus Kia have been exciting, but one-sided. We're seeing the same story over and over again. The D plus Kia reload whatever type of characters, champions, players that they want, and Gen G have always come out victorious here in the last 3 years.
The last time that D plus actually won a series against Gen G was actually in 2021. So for the last, 2 years, basically for 2 full years, it has been all Gen G. But today they come in as the underdogs. We've had a lot of those series go to Game 5 when D plus were the underdogs, nearly upsetting Gen G. Now Gen G are the ones on the other side who actually have to ramp into this one and take an upset win if they're going to move to the finals.
Yeah, we're going to say it's a completely different DK and also Gen G as well. So I think even though it's the same organization, we're going to have different storylines today.
Yeah, let's start with D plus Kia and their journey here. This was the #1 seed in the LCK Cup. They've shown off multiple different champion styles, champion pools. However, when it came down to this big match against Hanwha Life Esports in the upper bracket finals, they faltered in that game #5. What's made them so dominant, and where can they grow a little bit here against Gen G?
I mean, I think it's mainly from their mid-jungle synergy between Lucid and Showmaker. I think they work each other's really well, especially with the Lucid carry picks like Lilia, like those kind of AP jungles, and Showmaker with the huge and large champion pool helps him to carry the game. I think they're just synergizing each other's really well all around 5 members.
The synergy is definitely there. The confidence is there for a D plus roster that in the past had otherwise just kind of let aiming farm and then hope that they can set him up for success. They make proactive early game plays. They can play through Xiu. They often and mostly play through Showmaker. And in the late game, obviously, aiming is one of the best late game AD carries you have in the LCK. So when you consider all of the aspects and then the best drafting that the LCK Cup has seen so far, that D plus have, they're big favorites today coming into this series, and we're big favorites coming out of the group battle to win the whole thing. Stumbled in that series against Hanwha Life, and I think some of the drafts we've seen D plus use have been very successful in their creativity. Other ones have cooked a little bit too hard, so I'm hoping they'll kind of reel it in a little bit today, especially in the early parts of the series, because sometimes they cook early in a BO5, but I think you can kind of hold some of that creativity to when the champion pools get thinned out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, even in that last highlight we had there, that was the 2v5 at Baron where they saved the game and turned that one around. So when they've overcooked, they've been able to save it, and then finally they got burned a little bit there in the game #5 against Hanwha Life Esports. A lot of players across D plus Kia have had standout moments. On the opposite side, for Gen G, we've been waiting for all of them to go online at the same time, but there's been one standout player who's been there every step of the way.
Yeah, let's be honest, not many good points for Gen G, but I still really wanted to point out Chovy once again. I think maybe some of people are saying that Chovy finally changed his playstyle since, I don't know, like a year ago. I think Chovy, he's known as just lane dominance and like having a CS in lane, but I feel like now he's looking for more proactive plays and also making like so many plays by himself, and I think it kind of helps Gen G in so many different ways.
I think there's been a lot of problems with Gen G this tournament. They haven't been able to fire on all cylinders. You know, as you were saying, Digon, they haven't been able to all play together. They haven't been able to have very many games where all 5 players are playing their best. the bottom lane with Ruler coming back and Duro's inexperience really shining through, feels like there's a lack of a clear voice. But it's the solo laners who've been confident in every game. It's the solo laners who have the experience and are used to playing alone, right? They're the solo laners for a reason, who can actually make these flank plays happen, make these successful objective takes and big team fight wins happen for the team. And when Ruler is set up for success and he's on a champion where he can showcase his skill, his Ashe in particular, he has looked good. It's just most of the games, because we hold him to such a high standard, he looks a little bit weaker than you would expect. I don't know if it's something you can change, especially Duro's performances over the course of just a single day, but perhaps they'll play better today, or maybe it'll just be the solo laners they draft and play for.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't see coming that Ruler struggling in LCK. Like, I thought Genji is going to be stronger than last year, but I guess they are still looking for their playstyle or like team comp-wise. I think it's still not there, but I feel like they can be in time. Like, I think today's the day that they have to prove themselves. So I think, yeah, they have to do it. They gotta do it.
They've got to, because the last time they looked all in form was their very first match in the group battles against Hanwha Life Esports, that rematch of the grand finals. And since then, it's been a roller coaster, which is acknowledged here by Chovy in the way that this matchup against Showmaker is different than in the past.
We have seen such a change in Chovy's personality, I feel like, throughout this tournament. He is no longer just, I'm going to farm or I'm going to carry. He's making super plays on his own and showing a lot of respect to Showmaker. Here, Showmaker in the past saying that he was coming to take out Genji. Now it feels like we're the challengers going after them. Understanding the sentiment of both the team, Coach Kim, and the fans right now. Genji in a dire spot here. You lose here, you're not going to first stand. Chovy has been dominant since he joined this roster. He's basically gone to every finals here domestically since then as well. And if they lose today, it'll be the first time he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, that factor makes even this series more exciting, because I feel like both mid laners are playing for the mid prior. I don't think they're gonna look for just farm until like 40 minutes and just sit back. I think Showmaker also like kind of needed to like be a proactive mid laner, because whenever he picks like Victor or some kind of farming champion, his team didn't perform well. I think he kind of need to help the team, and also it goes same for the Chovy as well. I don't think he really want to just sit back and farm until like 50 minutes game. I think both mid laners should look for mid prior all the game.
I want to see Chovy looking for more proactive picks as well, like you were saying with Deed. You look at some of the champs that Showmaker has played, the ones that didn't really work out. The Xerath, you know, one of those big standouts. Yeah. The Zillion. I think sometimes playing something that works really well with your jungler and isn't something that's just going to win you lane against a player like Chovy especially might be good, especially with Canyon also being an underperforming Genji member right now. If we could see Lucid and Showmaker outclass Canyon and Chovy, I think it would be maybe a passing of the torch arrow-wise here in terms of mid-jungling for the LCK.
Absolutely. When we take a look at the head-to-head between these players in terms of game score, 57-41, you brought up Canyon. Canyon was on the losing side of a lot of those head-to-heads recently on the winning side, but his form has been a little suspect and will need to be better if Chovy and Genji are going to be going, because Lucid, reigning rookie of the year, now into year 2. Sophomore slumps happen. Not for this man. He's been so good. Speaking of passing of the torch, down on the bottom side of the map, you've got Guru versus Youngster, and that bottom stat there, we'll get to it. No. Bottom stat looks like Atomic Bomb versus Coughing Baby, but here you go. Go ahead, Wadid.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that Beryl is experienced over like Duro, but I feel like whenever I see Duro like playing, when we actually listen to their voice cams, he's actually really vocal about the game. So I think he's improving really fast, but I mean, he still needs some time, because like Beryl, he's on form right now. He's really kind of in a comfort zone with his old teammates. And I think, yeah, it's really obvious that Beryl is ahead, but I think Duro, no pressure. Everyone thinks that Beryl is gonna win, so I think it's time to show.
I think that like Duro obviously has way less experience. He's getting more vocal, but it's not something you could fix in 2 days, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Into this series, I think they need to be willing to speak up more. I think the rest of the team needs to actually pick up the slack and actually communicate more. Chovy is such an experienced player. Keen is such an experienced player. Canyon obviously can be vocal. He has been vocal in the past. I think they need to not say, Drew, you need to shot call more going into the specified. I think everyone just needs to be communicating as a 5-man team a lot more until Duro can actually get that commanding voice and be kind of the captain, the shot caller color of this team.
Yeah, I think that should come from Canyon side. I feel like Canyon, he didn't perform really well when he got like second tier junglers, like especially with like some AD picks. I feel like Canyon is the one that who should step up if they really want to win against DK today.
Well, for more insight on this series, we have interviews with the coaches standing by right now.
안녕하세요. 디플러스 기아 감독 벤기 배성우입니다. 젠지를 일단 만나게 되는데 이번에 처음 만나게 되었고 아무래도 강팀이라고 생각하고 있다 보니까 이번에 잘 준비해서 꼭 이기고 싶다는 생각하고 있습니다. 뭐 사실 지금은 상성은 크게 중요하다고 생각하고 있지는 않고 그냥 그날의 경기 컨디션과 경기력에 따라 달라진다고 생각하고 있습니다. 일단 초비 선수가 뛰어난 선수기도 하지만 저희 팀 미드라이너 쇼메이커 선수도 훌륭한 선수라고 생각하기 때문에 충분히 잘할 거라 생각하고 있습니다. 뭐 벤픽은 일단은 뭐 농심전을 보고 조금 데이터를 삼아서 준비해 왔고 잘 준비해서 잘 상대해야겠다고 생각하고 있습니다. 일단 오늘 스코어는 3대2 예상하고 있고 왜냐하면 피어리스에서 일단은 3대2라는 스코어가 좀 많이 나왔기 때문에 그렇게 예상하고 있습니다. 이번에 꼭 올라가서 결승까지 진출하도록 노력하겠습니다. 파이팅!
안녕하세요. 젠지 감독 김정수입니다. 디플러스 기아가 조별 그룹에서 잘해줘서 좋은 성적 같이 거뒀는데 이제는 적으로 만나게 돼서 꼭 이기고 싶습니다. 경기 끝나고 선수들하고 다 같이 경기 보면서 저희가 유충 싸움에서 많이 계속 사고 나서 초반 설계랑 유충 단계에 대해서 어떻게 할 건지 그거에 대한 토론을 많이 하고 왔습니다. 가전 경계 뭐 딱히 어디 라인이라고 하기에는 뭐 전체적인 게 뭐 롤이니까 전체적인 거 다 생각하고 있습니다. 스코어는 뭐 박빙일 것 같아요. 진짜 저희도 3대2 예상하고 있고 최근에 경기력 안 좋지만 선수들 담합해서 잘해가지고 꼭 이기면 또 좋아질 거라 생각해서 꼭 이기고 올라가서 우승까지 하겠습니다. 감사합니다. 젠지 화이팅!
Insightful things there from the coaches. What stood out from you, I guess, as they go into this match here, Wolf?
I think the biggest thing across both of those for me was Coach Kim saying he's not worried about specific lanes or lane matchups. He's worried about the whole team working together. That's how League of Legends works. And I think also kind of putting it out there a little bit that his team isn't, right? And that's what they've been focusing on. So I like that they're acknowledging that.
All right, well, time for predictions as we head into our loser bracket finals. I think that it is D+'s time to learn from their loss that they had, that very close match, get the win, get the jitters out, and then move on and potentially represent the squad in first stand. Wolf?
I think coming into the series, almost everyone is predicting D+. I went for a 3-2 though, even though Genji's last performance against Nongship was shaky. It's fearless, it's 5 games. We've seen it more often than not. And I think that these two teams always play each other close. I think a lot of people are underestimating how much can change though with that coaching coming through for the extra day that Genji had and some of the mistakes they can learn from. I think it's going to be close, but I'm D+.
And if you haven't known yet, Wadid's predictions have been a little suspect, maybe a little bit of witchcraft. Wadid, who did you pick?
Yeah, obviously, I'm picking DK. I think DK is one of the strong team right now with the Phillies draft. Once again, I mean, and also the reason why I picked DK is that they got the side selection. And I think blue side, picking blue side in LCK Cup, especially, it looks a huge advantage for them. So I feel like it's going to be really banger. But yeah.
All right, well, we'll see if Wadid's predictions have been correct. And waiting in the grand finals is Hanwha Life Esports. Here are their predictions. Everyone going D+ except, what? Peanut? Genji? Is he
Genji
cooking?
player himself.
Ex-Genji player, yeah.
But Peanut's also known to have a gigantic brain and to be one of the smartest players in the LCK. So maybe he sees something we don't. I think it's going to be close. I think it could go either way, but a bold choice from Peanut.
Am I going to curse everyone? Like, seriously?
Maybe. You have before.
No, I don't think so. I think DK is going to win today.
I don't know. Well, we'll see. We have a great match in store for y'all today. Whenever the LCK plays, the world watches, and today is no different. Let's get into it. It's D+ Kia versus Genji for a spot in the grand finals.
플러스 기아 화이팅!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the LCK Cup. We are getting so incredibly close to the final, only 1 day away. Before that, another best of 5, and one that could be one for the history books. D+ Kia versus Gen G. This matchup needs no introduction. It has been the distance many, many times, and with me, I have two men who are no strangers to said matchup. Chronicler, Ox, gentlemen, it's a big day.
I really am kind of caught off guard. I thought you were going to joke, but I think the seriousness of even Atlas is a testament to what we're expecting today.
Being serious is the joke. That's the best part.
Yeah,
it's rotated.
It's the expectations.
Yeah.
They're getting subverted. Throwing them off, keeping them guessing.
It's generally the way.
Yeah, I feel like especially, we've seen this matchup so many times before, so many times it's been a banger. The added spice of Fearless, I think, really is just going to make it an interesting one to see.
Yep. Let's jump into points of the match here and get into what makes this one tick. And I think these two gentlemen are definitely under the microscope at the moment. Bengi and Coach Kim, both of them have had some struggles, some ups, some downs. I think Bengi more ups, though, in comparison.
What's most remarkable to me is that even though both teams played the same score against Home Alive, how it actually felt couldn't be further apart.
Yeah.
Right? And part of that is also the fact that we saw Nongshim take Gen G to 5. It was actually a really hard-fought victory. But for DK in particular, even though they ended up losing, even in that final game, they were actually in a great position. Whereas for Gen G, it felt like it was just Chovy and Keen dragging the rest of the team to a reluctant 2 games.
Yeah, it definitely feels like some members are struggling more than others on the side of Gen G, and it's really taken some massive step-ups from their solo laners to get them to this point. Whereas D+, you know, they have some happy games for sure, but generally, I think the person who's been happy more than we've seen him in quite a while is Showmaker. He's been having a great time in this current meta.
And we brought this up on the space as well, 41-57. It feels like Showmaker has been playing second fiddle to Chovy for a very long time, even dating back to Griffin versus Damwon, and then it was, of course, you know, the rise of Chovy trying out some different teams in DRX and Humble Life Esports, but when he was eventually on Gen G, it was kind of all W's from there. And thankfully, Showmaker had a couple of years to, you know, win Worlds and then become a Worlds runner-up to try and figure it out as... Okay, let's have a look.
Barrel's throwing this at arguably the best jungler in the league at the moment. He's like, Lucid, that's too clean. That's the most Barrel thing I've ever heard.
Oh, it's so perfect.
And then Lucid's like, this is so harsh.
I think he just dislikes junglers.
It's so funny that we have Canyon on the other side as well. Oh, man.
All right, let's jump into predictions, though, because I have something I need to admit. We have a group chat where we all put our predictions in. We try our very best not to be influenced by others, but I was. Because we did put his prediction in immediately after mine, and so I had to immediately change. There is no way I'm going to be predicting the same outcome as that guy.
The 3-0... I was like, I'm probably... I thought I'd be the only person with a 3-0.
No, he does this all the time.
But a 3-0 Gen G is even more crazy.
Now, like, particularly for Gen G, I swear to God, I've seen him do it a bunch. Like, I know against T1 when they were heavily... T1 rather was heavily the favorites, he still did it. As the fan prediction, I think is warranted. I do think we saw as well, even though the predictions favor DK really heavily, it is a lot of close scores. And the expectation is that this still will go to distance.
A lot of 3-2ers, you know.
Yeah.
Following the trend.
I mean, that's just how this LCK Cup has been. It's been going the distance almost every single time. And we had Valdez complaining about it. He was like, Atlas gets all the 5 gamers, and then immediately, boom, he was blessed by a 5 gamer. We'll see whether we get one of those once again as the players make their way out to LOL Park. I always love watching Xiu and Keen walk out side by side. The years gap between these two players is absolutely absurd. And looking forward to seeing how that explosive matchup will go towards the top side. Whereas
Things a little bit different on the bottom side of the map, of course. Beryl with a whole lot more experience than Duro, but aiming versus Ruler is one that we have been watching over the years many, many times.
Yeah, I think particularly as we get deeper in the series, we've started to see less and less engaged boards available, more hyper carries coming out. Both these players, no strangers to be able to deliver performances on picks like Zeri.
And right now, it does feel like aiming has been performing way more consistent. Even games where, he can criticize his builds and his mage play somewhat, he is still a lot more willing to dive into that pool. And Ruler Ziggs, the second time we ever saw it, was unfortunate accident. Didn't really inspire any confidence, so that should be a big edge for DK.
Damage per gold stat here for Chovy, absolutely disgusting. Over 2 is kind of nutty. As far as that scoreline is concerned, almost a 900 DPM average in the playoffs.
You know what the craziest part is? It doesn't even feel like up until the last series, Chovy had been playing that well.
Yeah, this is with 3 games of him not even really being in the series yet, right?
I'm going to say, I think that damage stat was definitely inflated by the Game 5 versus Nongshim when he was 1v2 in lane against the Smolder and just winning every trade. Lehen spamming heals on the Smolder.
Didn't matter.
Still losing the trade. Yeah, he is still a beast, and I think despite Gen.G's issues, I think it's clear that it's a shot calling, some decision making, some macro. There's been the issues right now with his team. They still have some very strong individuals.
Oh yeah. One of the most fun things about this matchup, though, that we have to always talk about is the fact this is Showmaker taking on his ex, right? Canyon is now beside Chovy, and we'll have to see whether they have some surprises, because there's a lot more information that you have when it's Canyon versus Showmaker and Beryl, right? Like, these guys know each other so exceptionally well, and Lucid a lot to prove, as he is on your screen right here. I mean, he's the one that replaced Canyon.
I think that's also a good mention, because when teams play together, there is so many picks that never make it to the stage, right? You'll scrim with them, you'll practice them, they never make it there, but there'll be that intricate knowledge of that. So, like, you might see a ban that comes out, and like, we've never seen him play that, but there might be that knowledge. If he can play that champion, who's ready to bring it out. The occasion never happened. Fearless is where we start to see those picks actually show up.
And Canyon, in my opinion, one of, if not the greatest jungler of all time, has not been playing like it recently, right? We saw Lucid develop over the course of last year, had a bit of a fallback at Worlds, but thus far at LCK Cup has been absolutely incredible. I think it's between him and Owner for best jungler throughout the entirety of the tournament so far. Owner obviously not making it quite as far, but Canyon, even as recently as the final game they played against Nongshim, that invade was something that you see of a jungler that's just, or not even invade, the scuttle contest, that's tilted out of their mind. Right? Like, we were trying to go for a hardcore scuttle fight, 2 men down with a Yuumi. And that's something that I can't see today. I want Canyon to not just be, and I can't believe I'm saying this, a Nidalee one trick. Because that champion, as hard as it is the only thing where I think he's looked like P. Canyon.
Yeah, he should just play Nidalee all 5 games. There's nothing stopping him.
Yeah, why doesn't he just do that? What the heck? We've only ever seen 1 per series. Isn't that a crazy stat throughout like this whole tournament?
Yeah, they're really struggling just to lock it in subsequent games. They really should work on that.
It's really weird. This guy as well, big microscope on him. Duro has been having some struggles. And I think as far as experience is concerned, he is the outlier. Even Shiu is looking like he's come into his own here in the LCK Cup. I don't think that we're really looking at him and saying, oh yes, he's a big rookie, this is going to be a big problem. He is certainly the newest player to the LCK that's coming out here, but I think Duro is certainly the one that's raising the most eyebrows.
And it's something that Duro, both in Challengers and last year on LSB, I think, or on BNK rather, I think really showcased that he's better than this. We just haven't seen it yet, and it needs to come out. Otherwise, if you just let Beryl play his game, if you thought Lahan's was a nuisance, Beryl can do so much more.
Which game is he playing?
We don't even know.
That's the biggest question. As Cassante and Skarner, both of them banned away as we dive into the draft here for game number 1. The Poppy, I feel like Poppy is always an early ban, like early in the series ban.
It's a game 3, maybe it makes
and then game 3 everyone forgets about Poppy, and then she comes out for a game is kind of how it works. But Kalista is still going to be banned.
Has that value as the flex, but we've seen it played so much in support, really to great effect, so often getting most value there. Kind of feels like we're just going to have Skarner, Kalista, and then, the Cassante has been banned by D+. We've seen, like, the Cassante Jace ban sometimes traded, so could end up seeing something like that. And Xayah coming through as a ban as well. This was something that Nongshim actually banned pretty heavily against Genji in their matchup.
I do imagine that's going to be then a priority on the Vi. We have seen Xayah get rise really highly in priority, and there's also the Xayah Rakan that has been very prevalent as well. We're also early in the series, so Yone is still up, and I think that that's another pick that Genji might want to pick up for Chovy.
Well, I do agree. I think that the Vi is going to be a big one, but Jace has been the highest priority champion, and so now they've banned away the Xayah, and Canyon could just play the Vi, and you get it out of the pool.
You know, interestingly, this is the exact same first rotation bans that that Nongshim had against Genji in their series. Feels like they've just copied the homework.
And also, that Ambessa ban would have been a Jace ban if not for Shiu's play on Ambessa. Like, I'm telling you right now, when it comes to priority, I think Jace is a lot higher, still incredibly strong. As I was actually expecting a Nidalee rotation to come through, but with the Rumble, I do think that's less likely.
Rumble Vi is so strong, right?
Yeah, that's got to be the angle here.
Yeah, and I think kind of at the moment in top lane, we have like the big four, Ambessa, Cassante, Jace, and Rumble. So we've seen 2 taken out. We end up getting that trade. It's not too much of a surprise. Does mean that you kind of want an AD jungler. You could also look towards something like the Yone as well, honestly, in this situation. To provide that AD. And a lot of setup for the ult, a lot of team fighting power. Definitely seen that combo work well. But they will lock in the Vi. Gives you that point and click CC. Allows easy setup for the equalizer.
It also just means that Lucid cannot play his most iconic champion throughout the whole series. And I think that that is very valuable in unto itself. But I do think that DK need to take the Nidalee themselves. Like, you've already got Jace, you've set up for like a pretty beautiful pick composition if you'd like to. Lucid instead, thinking about the matchup here, we'll see what he does decide to go with. In the end, it's a Xin Zhao and a Galio as the combination. Seen this work very, very well thus far, and this should be a top lane Galio.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. And the Xin Zhao Galio is a combo we've seen so much. The value of Xin Zhao being able to jump in, open up a team fight, and then have the Galio come on top is something that many teams, I think Humble Life most notoriously have really prioritized this specific combo, and Peanut and mostly Zeka have looked incredible on it. We do see the Ezreal come through, which I do think is great for Ruler, means that Duro has the potential.
Do you think it's great for Ruler? Because I've been having a look at Chovy's solo queue recently, and he's playing a lot of Ezreal.
You know, we'll see.
We'll see.
I don't know whether it'll actually happen, especially not in game 1. But like, think about, you could kill 2 of Aiming's best champions, theoretically, if you pick the Ezreal here and then just lock Varus or something like that on 4, and you're like, we're going to the depths of these champion pools.
Just slam Zarian and call it, like, it's fine. We're red side game 1, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether it'll actually happen, but the Varus is going to be banned away. Theoretically, Ruler can go with an Ashe as well. Like, Ashe Rumble has been a great combination as far as getting that initial kill in teamfights. So we'll see. I do think that it's probably still Ezreal over to Ruler.
Cooking a lot here. We'll see. It's game 1 still, you know, a lot of time before we get to those bits. But I think the thing is, we often see like Ezreal and Xayah be great picks into the Vi. We often seen teams prioritize those. Xayah's already gone. Ezreal's picked away. You then target 2 more picks for Aiming, really starting to hamper down the pool that he has available to him. And especially into a Vi, you want something that can play a bit safer. The Varus obviously can play at such a long range. Kai'Sa could easily build Zhonya, so it'll be interesting to see what he takes here. With it potentially being that Jace mid, you could end up going something like the Ziggs to provide that AP.
Could be the option, as Silas the consideration and will be locked in. Very easily able to follow someone like a Galio around if you steal his toys. So certainly going to be a good option there. Corki now being looked at by Aiming.
Yeah, it's exactly what Oaks was saying earlier, right? You want something that at least has some form of self-safety, because if the Vi ults and you still have your Valkyrie available, at the very least you'll be able to drag her back and create a little bit of range here. And I think Aiming has looked pretty decent. This is another pick that does that.
Damn.
And I can't believe we're getting it in a game number 1 already coming out here on the Zeri. And Lulu is available.
Does Beryl want to play Lulu, though? That's the question.
If it wasn't Beryl, I'd be like, okay, you have the Lulu pair as well, with not just the Zeri, but the Xin Zhao.
Oh, yeah.
From Mammon Enchanter, but it's Beryl. I feel like he wants something where he can lead the charge.
The Rel.
That would do it.
Looking towards the Rel here.
Ooh, Rakan, another one that can certainly do that as well.
I will say, though, I mean, the Xin Zhao ult is pretty nice. The Galio ult obviously has a global pressure, but I feel like in terms of like massive team fighting power, you know, Chovy was lacking options a little bit, but the Rakan ult is so good, so does hand that over in return and give some power there. We do see them looking at picking up the Alistair in this situation.
The cow, a consideration here. Dura going to lock that one away. So a fair bit of extra engage now going over to Gen G. But this does put a fair bit on Dura's shoulders, it feels like to me, because I think that when you're playing Alistair, you need to make those huge pulverized plays if you want to create an impact. And we've seen some of the Alistair so far this tournament not necessarily find that. So I think we're starting off with a large microscope on Dura, and we'll see whether he's going to be able to get things done here for Gen G. Remember, red side for Gen G, they lost the coin flip moving into this lower bracket final. And so if they can win in game number 1, it would be absolutely massive for this squad, because not only is it a W, you move 1 up in the series, but you break the service game of DK.
Do note that they didn't swap, so it will just be Jason to Rumble and Galio into the Silas here.
That is very interesting.
I think, honestly, with how Showmaker's been playing and the amount of pressure he's been having on the map with these global impact mids, I think it makes sense. Due also being, Siwoo's already been a bit of a menace on the sort of more carry-oriented picks. I know obviously Jace goes a bit bulky now, but still so much you can do on that champion.
It's interesting because I think that Showmaker has been a fantastic Jace player, all tournament, but all career, just in general. But maybe Xiu doesn't necessarily have the same level of practice on this Galio this time around. We'll just have to see, as here are the skin choices. Nothing standing out as anything absolutely crazy as we dive into game number 1 of this Fearless Best of 5. Oh man, the fans certainly showing up here today. Lol Park is full to the brim. Everyone hoping that their team is going to make it to the final tomorrow. And Gen G narrowly making their way through. I think some could almost say that Nongshim lost in a 4-1 scoreline.
I'm kind of with you on that one. Yeah. Particularly given the tragedy of game 2.
Yeah.
That one ended. The definitely 3 hours away from killing a Nexus, and some unfortunate shot calling us. Might have a level 1 scuffle on our hands. Shiwa on his way as well.
Yeah, all of
That's
Gen
a big
G
collapse.
in position. Beryl moving forward. Doesn't find the grand entrance at all, but that's a 2-man taunt. Chovy finding a whole bunch of chains, though, as we can see. Aftershocks wearing off, heals being invested. The Ignite down there as well, as Aiming really wants to be able to get a kill early, but Ruler's going to use the flash to get himself out. So 2 summoner spells in trade for 1. And Keen with full control of this top wave as he heads back up there. So maybe a bit of an advantage for Gen G as far as the top lane is concerned, but for DK as far as the summoner spells.
Yeah, they were definitely hoping for more, though. I think if Beryl was able to connect that W at the start, I think a kill was on the cards. Fortune doesn't come through. They'll take the flash from Ruler, but it's an Ezreal, so at level 2, he gets his own flash.
Yeah, not quite as high value. There was also Xiu just seconds in time, like actually got the full experience of the wave. That could have been a big thing.
Yeah.
And then Showmaker also had to start with taunts because he didn't go for the taunt play as opposed to normally going for the Winds of War. I want to highlight Chovy going for Grasp here on the Silas.
Okay, that's a huge headbutt as Beryl needs to navigate his way to the other side of the Uribank sign.
I don't think you actually needed to headbutt him away there. It seemed like Beryl, you know, he didn't have his E to get out. I think he was kind of in a little deep there, but Dura does disengage.
Beryl?
Into deep?
You know,
he hit a 2-man grand entrance. It's really impressive. As they actually have the double entrances as well, which is cool. We're going to have to keep in our minds the heroic version and the grand version, which can be a little bit confusing.
Yeah, I always love, though, whenever you have a Galio, having someone who can lead the charge, because, you know, in earlier skirmishes, Galio can definitely make his way in, but late game, having someone who can go first and then just be able to ult on top, really powerful. And Rakan and Xin Zhao also being able to deliver that for him is big.
Well, so far, just some standard laning. getting a little bit of a preview of the changes that are going to be happening in the future, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
As the lane swaps are going to be a thing of the past.
We have time to discuss it. They're actually gone. For real this time.
There's so much on that list of like things that are being destroyed.
Yeah. If you haven't checked it yet, it's great. If you like teams facing off against one another, it's a big win. If you like the strategy of lane swaps, unfortunately, you'll have to wait till we're 4 minutes into the game.
Yeah, sorry,
any of that's going to be happening.
As a dozen people are really upset right now.
Yeah, exactly. At least the dozen people are relatively vocal on Twitter. So you can, if you want to hear their opinions, you certainly can. TV Man, of course, formerly of the LCK's television, is also not a huge fan of the change. But he is living in a television, so it is a bit confusing.
This is a deep cut, Atlas. I'm glad you're bringing it back. So thus far, no crazy early aggression yet. Also do want to note Ruler going for PTA, which means in short trades is going to feel a lot better. Ezreal obviously has a pretty easy time activating that. And expecting there to be a good amount of action towards those grubs in just a little bit. And both of these mid-jungle, like 2v2s and free freeze topside, I think are very explosive. So it might be more about can Barrel and or Duro make their way over in time to try and find a decisive angle. Because whoever gets locked down probably ends up dying on either side. There's so much you see available, and especially pre-6, things like Alistair can obviously tank a lot more of a beating. The Showmaker, bit of a rough one there.
A little bit of damage, but Beryl does manage to even things out with a bit of a combo onto Chovy there. And yeah, Showmaker doesn't really take that much damage, as he is a Galio. So he's kind of happy just to weather the storm. Duro moves into that mid lane as well, though, as we can see. And like you guys are talking about, it is likely a bit of a look towards some grubs for that first tussle. Keen hitting that level 6, a big point for the Rumble, especially for a potential grub fight.
Yeah, both top laners do need to get a reset up, though. They're going to look towards those. And Keen right now, the one really with the priority. Do you see both supports hovering around mid, just trying to find an angle, but not really any. It's hard to make ganks happen on both of these mid laners unless they really overstep with their cooldowns. But Canyon actually moving down and looking towards the dragon here. We did get the reset from aiming. Aiming's gone top, so definitely are looking at the grubs for D+, and it seems like we're just going to trade of those neutral objectives.
Yep. Ping comes through as well. So DK gonna be happy to take this, and Vi does the dragon very easily with a W, so doesn't really need any help, and it looks like we will not be getting any action just yet.
I feel like we're a bit robbed. I just thought that maybe the grubs would be an opportune time, but like you were saying, with the top lane reset, there's no Keen up there, and so no equalizer to help try and even that one out. So instead, it'll just be a trade of objectives, as Lucid is going to be taking the first couple of grubs most definitely, and I don't think that Canyon's going to be there to stop him from taking the last one, especially as he has held his smite.
Yeah, it seems like they kind of expected Canyon to come for a dive bot. You can see Beryl is actually waiting around to cover his top laner, but they ping out, they spot Canyon on the top side, and I think they kind of realize now he's safe. Although Ruler takes a big chunk.
Yeah, that is to the skies indeed from Shiu, but Ruler is just going to be able to back away. Not really too worried about it. Heroic entrance being picked up here by Chovy's hijack. See whether that is actually going to be utilized. Of course, don't know whether there's going to be any action in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, this is reminiscent of a lot of the games that happened, I think, in the previous series as well, where particularly in Game 1, teams are just kind of getting a feel for one another. You know, we are poking, we are prodding, we are
testing the water.
Jostling for positioning. I don't know, what else do we usually say when nothing is happening? Well, we just talk about other stuff. But
yeah, normally.
Yeah.
Normally. Jostling for position, though, is a great one, because it implies that something is happening.
Setting up a line of scrimmage is another one.
Setting up a line of scrimmage. Oh, beautiful. They're not doing that, though. They are killing wards and things like that.
Worse.
Yeah. We're not beating around the bush here. We want to be honest with you guys. And right now, nothing is happening. That's why we're getting slight zoom-ins when our mid laners manage to take cannon minions.
He missed one earlier. I think
he
that's
did,
why.
yeah. The bin didn't finish off.
Yeah.
No.
It was a devastating moment.
That's actually why Chovy at that point got a lead of exactly worth. I'm not even joking. There's like one cannon minion's worth.
Oh no. Yeah. Now he's a few cannon minions up. as we can see here. But he's also most of a wave in the lead, as he's going to miss a chain. Beryl's going to move in. There's a taunt. Showmaker already taking a lot of damage, though, as in goes Duro. Doesn't find the headbutt, but also doesn't invest the flash. It does get Showmakers in response.
Really good response there from Gen G. I think we actually saw, they spotted Beryl on the ward just a second before there. So they were very aware. Duro was waiting, and Canyon was also in the general vicinity. And especially with Vi, really easy to make those long-range engages work. As Beryl just says hello to Duro.
Yeah, they're just pressing buttons towards each other. Yeah. Oh, wait. This
could be action.
Guys, this could be a thing. Equalizer goes down. Shu is... He's on the red carpet. Is he going to survive? That's the question. The answer is yes, because he has flash. And Canyon not going to invest his or anything like that to try and follow. Aiming, finding an extendo beam onto Ruler, and we have some disengages across the rift.
You know, we saw Gen G happy to trade neutral objectives with the first set, the Dragon and the Grubs, but you've taken the flash of Showmaker, you've taken the flash of Shu. I think when you're looking towards those next set of objectives, which are only 30 seconds apart,
oh dear. Yeah, the self-silence working out here for Keen.
I think you really want to be challenging and finding a fight and capitalizing on those summoners you burn. And speaking of burn, she was feeling pretty burnt right now.
I would agree, especially with his flash freshly removed. Lucid thinking about going for a little bit of a gank angle here. It's going to be a tough one, but there is no equalizer, as Cannon will be claimed. You can see a little pet still in that brush. Can't fool us, Jonas Strong. Never mind, he's gone home.
As it turns out, he did fool us.
He did. Jonas Strong always gets me, man. Every time. That's why he's the GOAT observer.
Master of suspense.
Indeed.
Truly.
I feel like, you know, we talked about in the draft about the Galio going top and the Jace going mid. And the kind of result of that not happening is both solo lanes for Gen G having a little bit of an advantage so far, being a bit up in CS.
Yeah.
I think if you have it the other way around, it would have fared better in terms of the champion matchups. Like playing a melee champion into Jace mid, not so fun. And obviously Galio really showed up in the meta as a pick into Rumble in the top lane.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that if you're playing Sylas into anything that's beefy, you're going to be feeling great. You're generally able to out-sustain, out-trade in the longer trades. Chovy also going for Grasp, it means she's even more beefy. And I think we're actually going to get our first fight right now. Let's see what Chovy's trying to steal.
Yep.
Flash still off.
He does manage to get that Crescent Guard. Let's see whether that's going to work out for him in the team fight. Not going to try and chain his way forward, though. As you can see, they're a little bit late for this one. That is going to be one of the grubs picked up by Gen G. But now Chovy dives on forward. True Shot Barrage. Fair bit of work here. That's first blood right over to Ruler. And the heroic entrance does work out. Just unfortunately doesn't do enough. And that is 2 kills swiftly over to Gen G.
And I feel like it was a really weird decision because Gen G were ready to commit that Rumble, had him TP in. As soon as you join the fight, the equalizer value's there. Jace obviously not as impactful with the TP, but I was looking at the minimap actually, and it looked like he was trying to interrupt Keen's teleport instead of just matching it himself. So it felt like D+ were never really on board with actually having a straight up 5v5, maybe hoping we can stop Keen from joining and have a 4v4, and it felt very messy, but Gen G clean with how they set up for that one.
Yeah, call might have been that if Rumble makes it to the fight, like we're not going to be able to win, which I think is a valid call. The equalizer,
I would agree,
with the amount of CC that's available, is such an insanely strong ultimate. But now Gen G, they are going to be feeling amazing, right? Win the early skirmish. As Shiu again taking a beating here, as doesn't have flash.
There's the flash out, but Pulp comes down, and Keen's tanking the turret for a really long time, but the perfect flash timing gets him out of there. That's feats of strength going over to Gen G. One objective away from locking those down completely. As let's have a look at this fight one more time.
If you look at the minimap though, you can see Keen moves away, but he's on vision here, and you can see the Jace running over to try and stop it, but doesn't get there in time. The fight's already going pretty good for the side of Gen G, but then the equalizer comes down, and immediately D+ are like, well, you know, it's already like a 5v3, sorry. The equalizer comes, there's nothing we can do.
And Duro actually making his impact known on the map. Showing up there just before Shiu's flashes up, as we can see here, almost off of cooldown, but not just yet. And as a result, gets a kill over to Keen, and now things are looking great for Gen G across the board, and DK, one of the biggest advantages they have had has been their early game. And Gen G looking completely revitalized in this first game.
Absolutely. We have to remind everyone as well that this is a red side Gen G at the same time. DK have lost 1 game on blue side so far this entire tournament as Ruler finds a bit of an engage, but Aiming says that he wants it, and Beryl says that he doesn't need to hit grand entrances. We'd probably disagree with that if they wanted to win out on the trade, but now it's an R button missing here for Aiming.
They get the flash shot, I think that's fine. I think committing
that is true. That is
more would have been a bit...
Beryl able to exit now, but he moves away because he doesn't want to give Ruler the kill.
Okay, that's fair. I was thinking, you know, you want to move to your AD carry to get the dash to them, but clearly was like, you know what, I think I'm dead anyway. And Beryl not afraid of death. That is something we know is very true of him.
It's a bit of Chovy bias, though, because I actually think that it's probably just as bad giving the kill over to Chovy's side.
Oh,
yeah.
Take note, by the way, Chovy going for Rod of Ages. So really leaning heavily into that health stacking as Shiu does a flash, but this is going to be hard to outplay. Love it from the ult.
Yeah, there's the Vault Breaker coming in. Equalizer is down, and he's held in there forever. Canyon able to get himself out of there, and this is such a renaissance for Canyon. I have to say, his early game, a whole lot more proactive, being able to get around and get things done. Of course, it helps when everyone on the map is winning, but it's just good to see him doing stuff.
Yeah, and especially in this situation where we have Showmaker on the Galio, a pick where he has been... You know, a lot of his picks he's been playing have been very active about making impact on the map, making things happen. He's kind of just been trapped in lane this time, and Canyon has been leading the charge. We see this play here. You know, he definitely could have lived here if he flashed, but Beryl not want to waste his flash for something as pointless as saving his life.
Yeah, gonna have to get big mileage out of that one if they want to try and recuperate. And I think here, holding the flash is honestly, again, the right call. I think you're dead there no matter what, particularly with Canyon having his ultimate available. I gotta say, this is the first time I feel like this LCK Cup, even taking into account the wins that they've had, where we see Gen.G as they were in summer. Like, everything looks clean, the laning looks great, they're getting their early leads, Canyon is making impact on the map, as is Duro.
And also, as they were rumored to be, because we've heard that like their scrim win rate was really high, like 90%, and we just haven't seen that reflected until this game.
At all.
Well, I mean, I think we saw it in their first match against Homolife Esports,
That's
right?
correct.
At the very beginning of this tournament. And then from then on, they were just like, oh, we've shown that we can do it. Let's just not do it again.
It was the bro loss, you know.
The bro loss really, like, I think they've only just recovered.
Yeah, it took some time.
Understandably.
Yeah.
It rattles you to your core.
Well, Canyon's going to get knocked up here as DK looking for a bit of an answer back. Flash out, gets Canyon to safety. And they still haven't suffered a loss yet as far as those kills are concerned. Chovy finding a bit of a combo here on a Showmaker who just kind of doesn't mind.
This kind of feels a flip side from the last fight where Gen.G burnt some sums and then felt confident going into the fight. Now D+ have burnt some sums. The difference being, though, D+ are 3,000 gold behind. So even with that summoner advantage going into this Herald, it's still a big deficit to overcome.
Yeah, they're going to need a crazy fight here. And aiming, normally one of the win conditions, I do think, is unfortunate.
Oh, ow.
God.
Well, they're not fighting.
Yeah, that's not happening. Because we didn't talk about this yet, but the reason why we saw the Vi come back in the meta in the first place was into Zeri specifically. So you have guaranteed lockdown.
Well, what about Rumble for the Zeri lockdown?
By death. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Doesn't stop her from skating over that wall, as we could see there, but it is going to gather Gen.G and outer turret in this mid lane. Man, this has turned from pretty good early game for Gen.G to just a slaughter.
And that's the thing is, you know, they have the tools going later in the game, as you said, with like the Vi and the Zeri to shut down these threats. You know, this tank Galio, you're playing into two of the bulkier AP champions you can have in these solo laners with the Rumble, who obviously builds quite tanky now, and this Grasp Roa Chovy. I think they're really going to lack damage in these fights if it keeps going this way.
Well, Durok going to try and pulverize his way out of this situation. Does have the Unbreakable Will, as now he uses the headbutt to taxi over towards the Sentinel. He's doing everything he can to try and escape, and Lucid says, no, you're not going to. Aiming is the one that picks up the kill exactly where they want that money to be at. But is it going to be enough to get DK back into this game?
They need to get the Dragon, though. That's the big thing. A kill was nice, but that alone is not going to be enough, and we do see the contestants coming through. Keen is there.
Yeah, Equalizer goes down. Aiming, taking so much from just one ability. Does have the redemption, though, as Canyons dive forward. True Shot Barrage right over the top there from Ruler, as Showmaker looking for that backline. Canyon already down as it's Aiming, stringing these kills together. Big taunt from Showmaker, but can he lock down Ruler? That's going to be the question. Chovy's already dead, though, and Gen.G, I think they're already out of this fight.
managed to win the fight with the numbers advantage, but Genji's still looking. Ruler's healthy enough. He has the range.
STP.
These health bars are going low as Beryl burning down, and now Lucid looking for the opportunity, but he's put down immediately by Showmaker. Keen taunted as he turns up, almost able to get the kill, and eventually is. And now Shia looking to take down Duro once again. Duro able to clop his way towards this brush, but that is still the Drake going over to DK and a whole lot more.
And DK says, if Hanwha can do it to us, we can do it to Gen.G. Just being ahead early is not enough. It all starts with that kill. But Gen.G, because they're so ahead, I think feel confident trying to go for this fight. And initially the setup looks good until Showmaker arrives in the nick of time. Ton of value from the redemption. Beryl, I think, actually does a great job stalling here and barely gets out alive is Xiu. And then Chovy goes in big, breaks up the fight with the stolen ultimate, but it just isn't enough. And then I think here, just let him go, right? Yeah. Just give them the Drake. It's not the end of the world. It's their first dragon.
This is such a long replay, such a long passage of play, and at every single point, it's a numbers advantage for D+.
Yeah.
And you look at how the health bars are used, everyone gets low on D+, but no one goes down. And I also think the most significant thing about this is this was 5 kills for D+.
Yes.
Every single kill is on aiming. Every single one of them. So he's now monster fed.
God. Okay, well, I think Wolf is currently, he's got his selection of crayons out, and he is drawing up the certification card. I'm sure of it. Yeah, you'd need crayons. Yeah, he does. See, look, you can see the crayon. It's in his hand. It's an imaginary crayon, but it's a crayon.
Wouldn't you use like a nice set of pens?
If you're doing it homemade, it almost always needs to be crayon.
Oh, I'll defer to you on that one.
Yeah.
Guys,
like, that's how I made my license.
Guys, the Gold King has the most gold. How crazy is that?
That's nutty. Chovy has the most not being alive.
Wait, what? Is that Otacon?
That might just be.
This is.
Canyon's moving over to try and get him range. Shiwa doesn't have TP. He needs the furthest away. That's the only thing that might cause some
There is a risk here, for sure, yeah. Otacon still completely shreds you, and the Equalizer is available. I think DK are going to be looking for the turner. I don't think you want to actually try and flip this. Shiwa isn't there yet, though.
The turn is pretty dangerous. 15 seconds on Chovy with no teleport. As DK, they're getting softened up by this Otacon over and over again. The redemption comes down. There's the Equalizer. Decent position on that one as well, as Lucid taking a lot of damage. Has to use the ulti very defensively. As Otacon down to 3,000. Oh man, are we flipping the game on an Otacon? Is that what's happening here, DK? Let's see what they can get done here as Beryl doesn't find anything. And it's Canyon that locks away the buff. Oh, DK, they had so much control. And in an instant, they kissed it goodbye. Xiu down to 100 health. Keen throwing harpoons all over the place as Duro going the way of Beryl, but this time he has a death prevention buff, and True Shot Barrage is exactly what the start of that word says, as Ruler is able to lock that one down, and that's an ace. And Otacon, and I think they only sent one person home.
And a huge shutdown comes in for Ruler as well, so really turning this game around once again. It's a good pick on a Chovy. This didn't need to be anything more. Just look how much damage Lucid ends up taking. Even with the redemption, he's still so low. And it turns into this desperate scenario where they're trying to force Otacon. And you see Beryl's trying to look for Canyon, but he has no ultimate right now. So there's really not much you can do to lock him down other than a Hail Mary grand entrance. And once the buff is secured, they're just trying to run away, but they're so low already.
And in the meantime, Lucid's trying to farm his jungle. He's not allowed to do that as the Pulverize comes in from Duro, and Chovy even able to throw down his own ultimate against him. As Xiu turns up, Showmaker also teleporting in. Oh, it really feels like DK are starting to scramble.
Look at that gold grab.
Yeah, all of that comes down to, again, we've seen this so many times. It's why I thought that we're going to play way more aggressive for a pick. Otacon is very, very dangerous. It's the damage, and it's the fact that you become as squishy as what feels like a level 1 character, right? Your resistance just get shot to hell. And if Lucid has his ultimate, and he doesn't, or isn't forced to use it immediately very early on just because of the Equalizer and like 1 Q from Ruler, like then he can walk up and actually contest. He was close to being in smite range, but he just couldn't walk up.
But also the fact that that top laner just wasn't there. Jason's miles away, no TP. like they think, oh, we have a pick, it's a 5v4, but that doesn't work. Your top lane is not there.
Yeah, and when he did turn up, Keen just barbecued him off to the side where he was able to have no teamfight impact at all. As Taunt is going to be able to pick up Keen there as Chovy dives back in. Another redemption to try and keep them alive, but an equalizer gorgeously placed. The pulverize onto 3 Duro. Oh man, I am a fan again. Don't you worry. It might have been a couple of difficult games, but this guy on the cow is looking fantastic. Ruler dancing around the backside of the fight. Xiu gets melted. A triple kill for Keen's Rumble, who looks so happy to have his teammates back alongside him here these playoffs.
And you just see Aiming not able to play the game. Violted, Alistair combo, knocked back again by the Vault Breaker. Didn't get to press his buttons, and Genji convincingly finished out this game.
And Duro, I thought it was going to be setting some death records without him playing. Currently 1-1 and 15.
Damn.
In this first match on the Alistair.
Absolutely gorgeous stuff here as the first Nexus goes down, and as it dies, so does Orcs' prediction for this series. So he is now a renegade. He's completely out. You know, we don't know what to expect from Orcs further on in this series.
And what this reminds me of, barring the very brief period of life that DK had, was the game 1 against Homa Life. Let's cast our minds back at how one-sided that was.
Yeah.
Particularly the early game skirmishing, for me, felt very reminiscent of that. DK, we saw none of the trademark aggression up until that one turning point, and then weren't able to make the calls clean enough to keep a hold once they got back in the game, which frankly probably shouldn't have happened in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't a flawless game from Genji, because obviously that passage of play where they were just opting in, Aiming all those kills, but they still had the tools to shut down the Zeri, and the Zeri's now not available for the rest of the series. And D+, it just felt like, other than that one passage, kind of looked a bit lost. You know, the decision-making wasn't quite there, and that's something we've praised them for, really, since Beryl came back in. I also think that they will be very happy to not see Keen's Rumble again, because he completely cooked them.
He did. I'm really glad that you utilized the word cooked there. But there is a lot of very high priority picks that have now hit the bench. You've got Galio that DK have now taken away from Chovy that he can't utilize. You mentioned the Rumble already. Ezreal, another big one. No Zeri opportunities, things like that. So there are certainly some positives, but losing on the blue side for DK is a very rough situation to be in. We'll see whether they can turn it around as we move towards game number 2 right after this short break and the space to break down that game 1.
건다. 우리 맨만 바꿨어. 안 빼도 될 것 같은데? 천천히 볼게요. 천천히 볼게. 좋다. 천천히. 나한테 빨리지 마. 야, 라카. 야, 이게 사.
이거
제리. 네, 잡았네. 야, 끝낼 수 있다.
이거 바텀 텔 하고 끝내보자.
이거 끝낼만 해요, 형들. 가보자. 잘 막았다, 민구야. 잘했다. 각성했다. 각성까지야? 공심전 그냥 개소드로 맞고 일단 내 선수는 내일 리퍼 끝낼만 아직 안 끝나. 미니언 내려오지 마.
How about that game from Duro? The young man on the support role at Gen G has had a tough go, but ends the game with a KDA of 16 and a great start to the loser bracket finals. It is 1-0 Gen G over D+. Welcome back to the space. D-Gon alongside Wolf and Wadid. And man, that was one of our fastest games in the LCK Cup playoffs.
Yeah, it kind of got off the rails really early around a topside grub fight that D+ shouldn't have taken, but they also had massive lane deficits. Top lane wasn't going well, mid lane wasn't going well, bottom lane was a bit of a disaster. We did not want to talk about the draft a little bit. My big thing here is not an issue with the draft of D+ as a whole, but that they ended up putting the Jace in the top lane and not the Galio. But I think considering she was still a pretty new player, you know, if Galio is a champion that requires a lot of really high-level thinking and decision-making. So I understand why they gave it to Showmaker, but it really hurt the early laning phase quite a bit.
Yeah, on top of that, I don't really understand why DK is keep picking the losing bot lane. I think Zeri and Rakan doesn't have any advantage against Ezreal. Especially, I'm a favorite Rakan player, but I really don't want to play when I see Ezreal in the enemy team. So I feel like DK just gave up the pressure just for free. So that's why I didn't like the draft at all.
Yeah, especially Ruler's Ezreal looked dang good in this one, except the one certified Zeri moment. When we think about this, what ammo was used here in terms of champion pick here, Wolf?
I think that it was a pretty expensive draft on both sides. Like a lot of our top picks are gone now. The Vi's gone, the Rumble's gone, the Galio's gone, the Silas is gone, right? But I think both teams gave up a lot here, so I don't think it really necessarily means that one team has an edge moving into Game 2 in terms of which champions were removed, but it means that we got deep early. All right, Game 2, a lot's gone already.
Yeah, well, D+ has been lauded for their ability to be creative and also their discipline to not get into fights that they don't want to. Here in Replay 1, Wadid's going to break down what happened over at the Grub fight.
So as a DK side, I think as a Xin Zhao Galio, you have to go on to one target and hunt them down. I think DK's team comp is all about that. But here, when you look at the Chovy, he got Xin ulti by himself, which means that he can't be targeted. You can roll the clip here and see they kind of tried to go on Chovy here, but right after that, like Chovy got Xin Zhao ulti, so they couldn't really go on him. So that actually made like whole sequence really weird for the DK because like look at the positioning by Chovy. So he can't be targeted, but also other players from Gen.G is actually collapsing on DK side and making a huge DK sandwich right there. So I feel like this was amazing game knowledge by Chovy once again, save his team. It was not a draft gap, I would say, but this kind of small micro knowledge and the details kind of changed the game.
Yeah, definitely. Not only is it when you make the plays with your abilities, it's just threatening the position and what you could possibly do there, Wolf.
Yeah, and right before and after this, we had Xiu get picked on the Jace. He was collapsed on twice or died twice, and things looked pretty doomed for D+ Gia. There was a really certifiable Zeri moment where aiming was given a bajillion kills and a ton of gold, and maybe there was some hope for D+, but we move into the second highlight. You can see that in this fight in particular, D+ are taking so much damage, the resistance are getting shredded. Beryl doesn't have ultimate, so turning this and stopping D+'s collapse feels impossible here. Xiu is late to show up. The redemption here is really just, it's not going to save Xiu, Lucid. He takes so much damage, and now you're kind of trying to bail out, and he uses his ultimate, Lucid does so early that he can't actually stick the smite. So he's just like, I'm out of here. Maybe Beryl can save this. And D+ probably should have just been willing to give this up, but not only do they end up losing the Otacon, but the fight as well, as Beryl tries to go in and completely whiffs the engage.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why it feels so bad is because actually they had a chance to win this game because Zeri got so many free kills, and they have actually a decent team fight team comp. So I really felt like they could gamble in a good way, but I don't think this was a good way. I think after you get shredded by Otacon, it's literally like zero chance to win the team fight.
Yeah, and we've seen multiple times where people do the Otacon dance, a team tries to take it on spawn like what D+ did here, and they just back away, the patience runs out on Otacon, he heals back up, and neither team can go back. It felt like D+ pushed it a little bit without realizing how much gold and how close they were behind Gen.G.
I think they could have just tried to play around Otacon positioning instead of trying to burn the Otacon and win that race, because unfortunately they still have to deal with so many long-range engage tools, and the Rumble ultimate was really the big one in this fight. But had they just tried to play around Otacon, pull Gen.G to that fight, then look for a fight around engage and the Zeri popping off, maybe there was an angle there, but they got super impatient.
Yeah, again, we already mentioned that in the pre-show, mid matchup is so important this series, and I think this was kind of Chovy kind of gapping Showmaker on the mid lane. We saw the details from Chovy on that grass fight. I think that changed the game. So I feel like Showmaker, he really got to do something against Chovy if they really want to get a win.
Absolutely. Well, Gen.G's task was to steal a win away on the red side as they started on the red side, able to do so. D+ select blue side for game number 2. On the call, let's send it back on over to our TriCast.
Thank you very much, T-Gun and friends. It is time for game number 2. I thankfully have Chronicler and Orcs still here to take us through it. As gentlemen, it is now like we have the 5-gamer. It's brewing, right? So Gen.G manages to get a break of serve in the first one. DK, they come back to themselves, you know, for game number 2. They get a win, and we trade blue side, and then it's game 5, and who knows? You know, that's going to happen, right?
Atlas, I remember. It was 2022. and you and me were hyping up this series when it came up during World's Quarters. And we were like, guys, this is going to be an amazing best of 5. And then you know what? For the first game, I remember being like, my God, what is happening? Even the first half of game 2, it was just a disaster. I'm like, did we oversell it? No, I trust this team to bounce back. And we even saw a glimpse of it. If that Otacon call hadn't been made, as I think was highlighted by the desk, there's good gambles and there's bad ones. And most involving Otacons, I think, are just that. We just need to respect this objective.
I don't think that's true. You know, we know that Beryl loves gacha. There's no good or bad gambling. It's all good fun.
It's just
Yeah,
gacha.
he
He
just-
went for the gacha roll on Otacon, that's what you're saying?
He didn't hit. He's just going to do it again. Next time he will.
And the thing is, there's a pity system, right? So the more temples you throw into the Otacon, the better the outcome's going to be statistically.
No,
You understand
there's
it.
no pity system.
I'm glad we have a gacha connoisseur to explain.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Chronically.
Chronically doesn't even know what he's talking about. He doesn't play enough of them.
I actually don't.
Believe
but I do know
I-
that what you're saying is inaccurate.
What?
This instant, dude,
The closest you've come is doing gacha on my account. One time in a taxi.
I don't even want to. I don't want to get into this. We see literally a ban come through as well. We'll have to see a big swap up from DK because even though they were allowed to come back in that game, I do feel like that is more detriment to Gen G than it is DK really earning it. This is a no-brainer, but I want to see them with better lane matchups. To me, that was where the trouble really arose early on.
Yeah, I will say though, the balance have changed a decent amount with the Nidalee and the Yone taken away. And if you lock up Bessa, I really wonder what Keen is going to play in this situation. Is there a top laner perhaps that he leans on in every scenario? I do.
Oh, come on,
I
Keen.
do
Don't
wonder.
give us that quizzical look.
Yeah,
You know
look
what you're
how
looking in.
They're pondering like, oh, should I play Cassante here? Even in the show match, you know, in the season opening, in the fun match,
Yeah.
he's still locked in Cassante.
And then complained about it.
I mean, I imagine he's probably still having a great time. As the Keen Sante is going to be locked in, no surprises there. There's the Varus for Ruler as well, as they are limiting the champion pool of aiming one step further. But we'll see exactly what is going to be picked up here by D+, because of course the Ambessa could be flexed into the mid lane, things like this. But I don't know whether you're necessarily running away from a Cassante matchup as far as that one is concerned, so maybe just getting some good stuff if they can find it, as the Kai'Sa is showing me that D+ do not want standard lanes.
Yep, definitely want to swap playing the Kai'Sa and the Varus, but a pick that aiming is very comfortable on, seen him carrying this many times before. Definitely want to pair it with a negate support, but I think you couldn't be faulted for picking up a jungler here if they want to secure something. You know, Sejuani, Wukong, definitely decent options that you could take here. We'll see what they opt for, but they could end up going a different direction. They end up locking in the Azir.
This is the first time for Showmaker so far this season, right?
Yeah, it's kind of
Unless
what
I'm
I was
completely
actually
wrong.
what I was looking for the moment that the Varus was locked in, because there is a a pretty high profile play involved with Ruler and Azir. I don't know if you guys remember
really?
that one.
There is.
Yeah. I don't remember which team it was because they're no longer in the tournament, but I do think that we did see that. More importantly, it also picks it away from Chovy, who has been not prioritizing the Azir as highly as he's done in the past, but is still extremely strong at it, and it also takes it away from a later point of view. The one thing I am worried about is that does mean that no matter what Lucid picks here, because Poppy's already banned, your mid-jungle 2v2 is going to suffer because Azir is just not really that type of champion, and that worries me a little bit because that's been how DK has been successful. We do have aiming on Kai'Sa though, and Shio and Ambessa, so I think in terms of champion strength, they're still solid.
I am a little bit concerned though, just because we've seen the Maokai pick up, which is a great defensive pick in terms of peeling, and now you're banning away the Wukong. You really start to hamper away the tools that allow D+ to close onto Gen G. The Venata ban is fantastic. That is like a must, because it definitely looks like with how things are going, D+ goal is get on top of Ruler,
Then
and
Braum
Ruler's
maybe?
goal is stop that.
Then Braum, and then you have plenty of engage reports that you can go towards.
Yep.
I mean, I guess it could make sense, especially since like Leon and Nautilus are two of the ones that are like left open.
Yeah.
As
What
potential
about
options?
The
Zyra.
Blitzcrank angle, though, gentlemen.
Okay,
Maokai
that
Blitzcrank.
can't be the call. We're I guess it's Canyon, but still, I feel like the Zyra just hasn't really hit the mark
I
thus
think you've been
far.
watching a little bit too much.
I don't know, because I feel like if they put Maokai support and Zyra jungle, it would be so hard to dive into that. I feel like you'd just be unable to find success in a game in that situation. Even though Zyra hasn't, generally been successful, I think a lot of the reason it wasn't was it was picking a Nidalee who just sat at a distance and threw spears.
Yeah, very early in drafts as well. A good point there. As the Aurora gets locked in here for Chovy. No big surprises thus far. I love this from Gen G because it also keeps hidden who is going where. And this is a bit of a throwback. Lucid, you can see him kind of chuckle as well. He's been playing a lot of carries, but back on Sejuani duty. And DK just going for what feels like a much more straightforward front-to-back style composition. There obviously is some dive elements with the Kai'Sa, but with the Azir, with the Mbessa, and with the Sejuani and Rel, you really have a comp that kind of covers all bases. If the laning can be better than last game.
It would be fantastic. I do like the idea of a Kai'Sa not even necessarily picked for the dive as well. It's more like an anti-get-all-in, all-outed by Keen, because he drags you out of the fight and then you just ult your way back in again. Maybe that's going to be a bit of an angle here, as the Braum, like you were talking about, is going to be locked in here. So Gen G are not going to be engaging any fights ever, outside of, I guess, Ruler hitting a stray ultimate. And we'll see whether DK can get the angles they're looking for.
And I think the Rel pickup was also done with that in mind. I think if you're playing Nautilus, it's basically unplayable. I think Rel has a bit more angles into the Braum than you otherwise would.
Yeah, I feel like one thing though is like Genji's composition, it's like a 2-carry composition. You have like engage tools, you have disengage, but they're kind of lacking damage a bit. If Varus goes down, even if you trade 1-for-1, you lose so much of your team fight damage, and the enemy team is not only bulky, but you have like an Mbessa who, if you don't DPS her down, just runs rampant. You know, if you end up in a situation where even if you trade 80 carries, you're going to have less damage on Gen G compared to what D+ has. So this needs to be a really clean game from them. It needs to be Ruler on point, not getting Azir shuffled at a critical moment.
Well, we'll see whether he can actually get that one done, as of course, it could also be the lethal tempo on the Varus as well, especially in this game, just because there's not a lot of champions that are outranging him. So sometimes when you see the dual DPS compositions as a Varus and X, if it's lethality, you feel like you don't have as much to get across the line. I think with the lethal tempo, there's a chance the Ruler can carry, see if they can do it as we jump onto the Rift. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Game 2 of this best of 5. D+ looking to try and move us towards a best of 3 as we have full 5-man lineups meeting around this Brambleback camp. Gen G once again just pushing forward. This is it's kind of weird what's going on.
Yeah, we saw last game the attempt from D+ to stop the invade. That was when you weren't playing into Braum Varus. Now you are playing in a Braum Varus. You can't contest them. And honestly, I mean, it's less so of a thing because it's the on-hit Varus, but you still kind of want to avoid that bot lane matchup, ideally. The Varus Braum, not a great matchup for the Kai'Sa to play into level 1, so I think they would have appreciated the information, but they kind of just gamble on the fact they are bot side. They are probably just going to put that bot lane bot, and we do end up getting the swap coming out with aiming running towards the top side.
Oh, and now we'll get confirmation as well. Although Keen is obviously just hovering, Lucid might be looking for an invade as,
yeah, Beryl moving on over as well, so his position's going to be found out. As Crashdown, Keen just going to soak that. He's Cassante, so he's not too worried about it.
That's so interesting. Lucid went W.
Yeah, I think...
Instead of, I guess it must have been for the invade?
Yeah, I think it might be just to get the damage on Keen. I don't think it's a huge issue, specifically on the Raptors. It'd feel terrible if you started on like a buff.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal right now. He'll get his E next, and you know, Keen gets chunked out a decent amount, which means he's not really in a position to go towards top lane. As, you know, we talk about how dives are harder with the towers. It wouldn't take much to dive Keen in his current state.
True.
I want to highlight as well, Showmaker did the same thing that we saw Chovy do in his final match against Nongshim, which is going for the PTA. So gives you a lot more agency in these short trades compared to where you were before, especially with Electrocute being as strong as it is right now.
Kind of cute. Canyon now moving on over, throwing some Graves towards Xiu here.
He's level 3, and she was only level 1.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he wasn't able to get XP. I think this is the big thing why you see top laners often go towards mid, get that level 2 XP, and be in a much safer position. But, like, Shiwu's zoned off so heavily now, really in an uncomfortable position, and they're going to start being able to get plates, obviously, with no fortification on the bot side.
So they're going to be able to at least get a bit of extra money for themselves. There is a top wave that is going completely to the wayside also, as this is 100 games between Chovy and Showmaker. We'll see who's going to be able to take it here. Of course, Chovy a little bit further ahead as far as that matchup is concerned. only a little bit further now, in fact, after the Game 1 victory.
It's crazy because there's a lot of players who just don't have 100 games in the LCK.
Yeah.
And the fact they have 100 games specifically against each other.
And then you got Faker with 100 games on Azir.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. We have all sorts here in the LCK.
And Chiwa's just been taken out of this game initially. Still hasn't been able to make his way back. We do now see that Beryl did go for the base to make his way over. Keen is TP towards the top side of the map, but will be up a full level as Shiu finally makes it to a wave. And gonna be feeling okay. Still gets pummeled a little bit there, but I do think now we'll be able to finally start getting experience. I imagine Beryl's gonna keep him safe a little bit, but really, ideally wants to give over the experience to just the top laner.
Still not level 2.
No, because he has been completely denied, and
he was sharing the experience that he managed to get with Beryl.
Even so, it's devastating position to be in to still not be level 2 at this point of the game. And it means he's not just vulnerable like right now, he's going to remain vulnerable, and kind of Beryl's going to have to babysit. In fairness, you know, the Kaiser's pretty fine alone 1v1 against the Cassante, but this has not started well, especially since it's Ambessa who, even though we've seen her be fine in lane swaps, you know, not as good as a Cassante in a lower economy.
And you see as well, she was still very clearly playing so respectful. Like, he was just hovering in brush. Oh, it's Chovy.
Yeah, Showmaker looking for a little bit of an angle there as Chovy is going to throw an ability slightly wide. Still supports and junglers hanging out in the area.
Yeah.
Not a true 1v1 or anything like that.
She was continuously, like, he was hiding, and I think not until they actually saw where Canyon was just sitting in brush. He was just like, are they diving me? Like, I don't want to die. I really don't want to give up a kill early on. Didn't end up happening, and now when we look at it, Keen is still ahead, but I do think that they made it through. And now Shio is going to be, I think, about a level behind. That's at least playable compared to what it was before.
Yeah, definitely. I think if this had been before they buffed the towers, he was dead 7 times over.
Yeah.
So not as bad right now.
Support combat!
Wow, riveting.
Absolutely gorgeous. Beryl does manage to grab the ward, though.
Beryl.
Passive's going to come up
still
again.
Fighting. Yeah, Canyon's making his way in. Duro is going to start stacking it, but you can see Lucid. He's making his way through as well, so that is going to be the end of that scuffle.
Beryl was
Only a
just
lot of
thinking,
fighting,
like,
though.
I'm stealing his resists every time I hit him. So in the longer trade, I'm winning this. Didn't quite work out that way, though, because unfortunately, it's not a 1v1 between supports. There is other players on the map.
Yeah. And they can turn up. See Beryl looking a little worse for wear. As this fight around the grubs, this could be a little bit of a dangerous run, as like you were saying, Chovy not quite there just yet.
He's on his way though, and he has 6. Showmaker does not.
Yeah, they can't take this. Beryl's so low. Showmaker has no ult. Kaiser's late. This is a mistake if they try it.
Yep, Piercing Arrow also making sure the Beryl has to get out of there. So the first round of grubs going over to Gen G by the looks of things. Canyon going to be able to hold on to that smite for as long as he would like.
Yeah, I think
we'll be able to secure all 3.
It's not even just the fact that Chovy had level 6, but you look at the item difference, because Showmaker hasn't reset yet, and he had just a no magic mantle having been picked up.
Yeah, it's sitting like over 1,000 gold, or about 1,000 gold in his inventory when he did go back and finally reset. So yeah, that would be a lot left on the table.
And Showmaker backing down, like, he's a full level behind. But he's going to be able to catch a good amount of this wave, but Chovy is still going to be very far ahead. And if Gen G can just continue this early game burst, this is feeling very reminiscent of game number 1, with Gen G actually leaning into really, really strong laning phase performances and out-rotating DK on the lane swap, sending Keen towards bot, keeping Shiu completely away from any relevancy, as that's just Beryl. So he can hide in that brush and soak XP. Can't really do much more. I can pull the wave here to try and set up for aiming.
He's trying, but level 6 ruler, I think you have to give a lot of respect to.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough one to fight out. Chovy actually missing quite a few abilities that we'd often see hit. Showmaker in his head, maybe, in this laning phase, but none of it really consequential, as it's under 1,000, the gold lead for Gen G right now, but they have themselves the first third of a feat of strength. No kills, though, so still waiting for that first blood. We'll see who manages to grab that.
Lane gank angle here for Lucid.
Yeah.
I wonder how far
Cassante is pretty easy to kill, right?
6. Yeah, it might be a bit of a challenge. And now Gen G obviously got those early grubs. They still have the pressure and can just move over to the dragon, so in a very comfortable spot.
Ow.
That's going to be both Grubs and Dragon indeed going over as
Well, not
Still
both
here.
grubs, it's only one set of grubs.
yeah, fair. 3 out of
Yeah,
first
3 out of 6. Going over to Genji. So yeah, like you were saying, that is going to be 2/3 of the way towards that objective feat of strength.
Wait, no, I meant both Grubs and Dragon. Did I just get?
I think you got bamboozled.
I got bamboozled by Ox.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just sort of
so
said
long?
words immediately afterwards without even processing what
Why did
was
it take
said.
me so long to notice?
You're not in your game.
scoundrel.
You're not in your game.
You just picked up a freebie. That's all right. Keen and Shiu continuing to fight here towards the bottom side. And we'll see whether Shiu can do some more of his Ambessa things. This guy's been so good on this pick, even back at the Kesper Cup.
Yeah.
When she'd only just come out. Of course, she was a little tuned to the north at that point in time, but still certainly taking her through her paces.
As opposed to now, where she's really
balanced.
I think
really being
everyone-
brought back to the 50%, 100%.
Yeah, I think very compared to Cassante, especially, also another very balanced champion.
Yeah.
I think both.
I think it's a battle of the balance, really.
Yeah, yeah. Who can dash the least and function in ordinary ways?
And be extraordinarily tanky whilst also doing more damage than you should.
Hey, one is a little bit more tanky, and the other one has a little bit more sustain.
But they both dash too much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're in the greens on that one. Is
Where's Rise? You know? We saw him that one time, and it was
see him.
fantastic. I loved it. No dashing. You always knew where he was going to be unless he was using his ultimate. And speaking of ultimates, like you were saying, level 7 here for Canyon does discover that he's been spotted as he sweeps out that ward.
oh, they're on the opposite side of the map for Lucid, so looks like the wave will be pushing towards them. So not the end of the world. They're going to be missing out a little bit though.
Yeah, it does mean that Genji have great setup for the grubs coming up in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
They'll be able to push his wave in. Aiming has to deal with it. And it's always difficult to enter into the river against a Maokai. And especially if you don't have the vision set up there before. Also playing into an Aurora is a bit of a nightmare. We
In
could
general.
just see a sacrifice end up coming through. Actually, TP coming in. Oh, this is very dangerous TP spot.
Yep, you can see Canyon just walks on over and bramble smashes Showmaker, who gets welcomed back to lane, and now he has 400 health.
Well, I don't think you're contesting grubs.
I don't. That should be 6 grubs. Aiming's gonna have his back stopped as well.
Definitely not.
We are not contesting grubs. No.
Unless... No. Beryl's like, unless...
Maybe Beryl can just try and contest grubs himself.
It's a repeat of game number 1, right? Like they're just getting choked out in lane.
Oh God.
Beryl is fine.
Yeah, okay, thankfully it's not Aiming that has his back stopped, but still this is so much tempo being given over to the team that already had so much tempo.
Yeah, and Rula getting so much gold in this situation as well. The Varus, we said this is a composition with 2 carries. You need to keep them live, you need them to be strong. They are going to be very strong. They already have leads. Rula's getting a ton of gold. And it is going to be a challenge from here for D+. Down an objective already, 6 grubs.
This is gone.
Yep.
And when you... So Chronicler, when you were overselling DK versus Genji, and we hit game 1 and it was a bit of a blowout, and then halfway through game 2 it was a blowout. Is this about when the turnaround is supposed to happen?
If we follow the classic structure, yes, but I am getting worried. Maybe that's just part of the experience.
You know what it is?
What is it?
With did diff. It's just with did diff every time.
As soon as I saw it in the chat, I was like, but I was so looking forward to the DK Humble Life Esports rematch. I guess we just don't get to have it.
He's just too powerful.
He is so powerful. It is very true.
That's not only with it, it's also Jonas Strong at the same time.
I know, and he had the 3-0, guys.
Yeah, that's a combination.
And now we are getting close to a 3K gold lead. It's 2.5 now, but the bigger thing for me is how docile DK has looked in both of these 2 early games, when their explosiveness was, I think, one of the biggest edges that they had over both Genji and over Hanwha Life especially. But aiming has been completely neutered in this game. We see Showmaker TPing up onto wards where he absolutely should not be TPing to. And I don't even think if he doesn't TP that they can make that contest with aiming, as you pointed out, Ox already being caught on the back, that getting interrupted. But the fact that Chovy's like, I can use my ult just for damage because you are not contesting this. There's absolutely no way. We don't need this. And TK just getting pushed in everywhere, getting Doro just walking like he owns their jungle.
Juro now claiming the victory in the 1v1 against Beryl.
Again?
Confidence. He's like, I can fight you away. And look at the upgraded Mirk Treads, you know, the extra little bit of magic resist.
And look at all of this vision surrounding this Cloud Drake that's coming up as the second Drake of the game. There's already the feats of strength being picked up very passively before the first blood even comes through. As Beryl, maybe he got word of the fact that there's been no first blood just yet, as he's playing very far up. Now getting tagged by... This is a lethal tempo Varus.
Yeah, it's not even lethality, and they're getting poked out. I feel like every time we walk up to an objective, we see a Ruler hit a nice arrow, and it's gonna have to be a crazy team fight. Fine, but like, I think Genji's hard to team fight into. When you set up with Braum and Maokai, good luck.
I also think...
Moving down, Beryl and Lucid in the area to try and back up Shiu, but this Dragon, all the while, is just being attacked.
It's gone.
They can't fight. They're just not at a strong point right now.
Lucid with it, never mind. And that's a Mountain Soul as well this game. Earth, Wind, and Fire, you'll love to see it. We're grooving tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but we may not be grooving tonight for that long, because this is looking so Genji favored.
I think we didn't even make sure. This is so Genji, and we haven't seen that this LCK Cup yet. I know that, you know, a lot of their stats are still good, but this feels very reminiscent of what we went through the entirety of last summer, where like nothing really happens.
Last summer, you mean last year?
Yeah, or the last couple of years, depending on how you look at it. Where nothing really happens, and then you look and it's almost 3K gold lead at 14 minutes with 0 kills. That's big Genji.
I think the concern was losing a shot caller can have such a big impact, and how they would continue. Would they be able to continue to do this without one? And now seeing them do it with Duro on the roster, working well. Oh no.
Oh shoot. Well, he's going to try and ult his way out and does not manage to do so. The Winter's Bite is going to land as Canyon's going to reset the aggro. Chovy needs to get out of here though, as he does flash, and Shiu will survive as they do not quite have the damage.
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure. Would the ult hitting be better or worse? Honestly, in that scenario, hard to really know. But just survive the dive, and now they're looking for Ruler.
Yeah, the counter dive potentially coming in, but it's a teleport from Chovy, and that will save Ruler's life. He's also able to sit underneath his turret and grab all of these minions.
And this is the worst part. Like, Shiu outplays that, and, you know, maybe the ult, I'm with you. I don't know if it actually is better if he hits it because he gets away from Chovy, but it did cause them to back off a little bit. Maybe that was the time, but they still lose the turret. They don't get any counter punch. Like, they get Chovy's TP, but that's not the biggest deal. There's no objective up for them to take on top side of the map. Keen has the top turret on lockdown, so like, I think that's still a Genji favorite play. You get the turret.
Yeah.
You take the flash away from the Mbessa.
And look at this money, right? On the left-hand side of your screen, Ruler and Chovy, the two with the most of it. And Ruler has been really making it work for him here in this mid lane, as he is constantly poking Beryl and aiming out. And I keep having to check down just to see whether he's bought a serrated Dirk or something like that, because it just feels like these piercing arrows are hitting for more than they really should. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that he's being able to stay up in levels as well as DK.
First.
Yep, they're going to be able to take this Rift Herald by the looks of things, unless Canyon can really book it, but it's not going to be the case. As Ruler wanting to trade for this outer turret in the mid lane. Shiu taking a lot of damage. There's the Blighted Quiver Stacks really getting broken down. Glacial Fissure comes in as Beryl looks for the backline. Empress Divide onto Ruler. It's gorgeous from Showmaker. And they take him down first. The Killer Instinct into the backline as Keen will be able to go all out and get rid of aiming. But not before he grabs a double kill. Chovy now trying to answer back the fight as Shiu. Not the raid boss we saw from him. And he will be cut down. And sometimes you forget about the Cassante.
Aiming, what was that? He dove into the turret and died. They cut Ruler. That was the narrative play. He got swept up.
I think he had to, because I think he was in a position where he was about to get blown up by Chovy, I believe. If you watch the replay, so they get this initial fight at the start. He goes on a Ruler, and then Chovy goes the other side, and aiming's like, I have to ult away. Goes to Duro, which unfortunately Duro survives long enough to ult. He's on the tower. But I think Eamon was like, I can't stand next to the Aurora. I have to get away. And he ended up picking a choice that didn't pan out. The thing is, I think the fight started really well for D+ with how it played out. And it was great moves from Showmaker onto Ruler. But with the deficit, they didn't have the throughput to get through the fight, to get through all these bulky health bars. That being said, Summoner's down, the flash down for Ruler. I think ideally for D+, they find another fight like that while his Summoners, while his flash is unavailable. Dragon up in a minute, that might be the angle.
Yeah, well, Ruler is going to have his flash a little bit before Showmaker does, so I think DK going to have to look for a different angle to lock down the Varus outside of the flash shuffle.
Also, another thing is Shiwu just didn't have his ult for that fight. It came up like right at the end, which was really unfortunate. But, you know, maybe you can look for an angle, we connect that on a Ruler, and that could be the play.
And if we do change up the course of this series, very much the way that against Halma, Shiwu found the big outplay and it kind of turned the tide, made that from what felt like a stomp into a competitive one. I think it's gonna have to be these Mountain Dragons, because the one issue that Genji is gonna have without a shadow of a doubt is if DK starts stacking them, gonna be really hard to actually get through the health bars.
Oh man, as the dust settles though, guys, I'm looking at this Keen Sante at
It's a problem.
2-0-2, and I don't know whether he'll ever take damage, let alone die, as Canyon also finding himself pretty tanky in this fight. Duro dashing forward, not finding the Winter's Bite, as this fight for control of the mid lane is escalating. Genji now moving towards the Dragon. Remember, this is Soul Point, Mountain Soul. If Keen gets that, he will be immortal.
No TP for Keen.
Yeah, as opposed to now where he's...
Immortal.
Yeah. But definitely won't help. I think we can all agree on that one. Right now, we see Genji setting up to get this mid cryo. The tower's so low as well with those 6 grubs. Like, you have to defend it. You have to have someone there clearing the wave. Ambitious, Barrel.
Yeah. He's not afraid of anything, though. That's what he's proving
Aim's
over
already
and over
jumped. They need to get this. They cannot afford to give Soul Point over to Genji here, and I think DK, they feel the necessity.
Yep, Showmaker going to be able to make his way in. He's got his ultimate. I don't know whether they're going to be able to steal away this Dragon, but can they find themselves a victory in the fight? And the answer might just be no. Shiu going to get caught out of position. The 2-man ulti from Duro is so good as well, as Lucid's going to get slowed down, and Genji are now on the warpath. Ulti comes through from Chovy to slow down Miss Piggy, as Bristle is going to get pushed out of the fight. Rift Herald goes down and is otherwise just forgotten, and Genji continue their onslaught.
It's almost impossible to take down an entrenched position when there's Maokai, Braum, and Cassante. It just can't be done. You can see there, DK's trying, but they're just not getting any angles.
Yeah, I also think Chovy doing such a fantastic job playing on these flanks and just getting so much poke damage down.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Chunk Shiu out, and it makes it so difficult because it's an Aurora with Flash. You can't engage onto her. They put the lockdown on the Ambassador, doesn't get to play the game. And then here, D+ is just kind of licking their wounds as a disengage. Genji get a kill, they get the Dragon, they manage to defend them mid-tier 1, but also, this was a potential weak point where Ruler doesn't have his flash available. It's about to come back up, and it's going to get so much harder for D+.
Ow, that hurt.
Well, it's the base again.
A little bit painful. Yeah, and there's an Otacon right there.
Okay, the one thing that Genji
Oh, God.
that Genji needs to be very careful of.
Is this the way back in for DK? The Genji curse of the Otacon fight situation.
Shiu STP, they're gonna have to. This is the only moment I think you're gonna get. If Otacon goes over, Genji wins this game, and you're down 2-0.
Oh, aiming so low, and the red buff just timed out, so no more sustain.
Yeah, Showmaker's also spotted as Keen diving on in. The Magnastorm is decent. The Brambles are keeping them away, though, as Beryl dies, Lucid dies, and aiming just rockets himself into the backline to suicide. Oh, no, Showmaker gets himself out of there, and the Otacon will just be secured by Genji. That was no Genji incident on their side of the rift, and DK back to the drawing board once again.
D+, they find Ruler, but they just don't have enough in the tank afterwards. They have to commit so many members to take him out, and even though everything connects, he survives for a long time, and we have these bulky tanks in the way. The ult comes out, we get the ult from Ambassador as well. Ruler's still alive until aiming goes in to secure the kill, and at that point, 4 members for 1 is never a worth trade.
Yeah, that engages a necessity, because either Beryl tries to engage there, right? Lucid has to walk up to at least threaten a dive. If you don't do that, then Lucid just dies, you don't get the steal. But obviously you're still engaging into the front line of Genji. And DK, unless Genji makes some massive mistakes repeatedly around Baron, around dives, they shouldn't realistically have a way back into this one. 2 minutes until the mountain comes up, and if you think they're tanky now,
well,
and he has the buff. Like, you can maybe take him down, but
well, Bramble Smash value is pretty high. He does invest the flash to hold on to his buff for as long as he can. And look at that, Sap sipping his way back to relatively decent help as aiming comes on over. There's the Brambles coming on out there. Canyon's still alive, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Emperor's Divide to throw Ruler back towards aiming. The flash forward as Duro wants to be able to get the passive proc, and he will be able to get it. Aiming goes down, and Keen's running amok, managing to land the double Q onto Showmaker and Lucid. Duro still just giving them the door as best he can. Shiu gets in here, but look at Keen. He's immovable. And Genji, this is with Otacon.
Oh man, D+, they're trying to find these angles, but there's just such a deficit and some clutch moments from Genji. Duro keeping Ruler alive for the extra bit of time. That just resulted in aiming going down. Also very funny that Duro kills him. This is the start of that passage of play where Canyon's a little bit overextended, but they just take so long to cut through his health bar. And so much committed as well in this situation. You know, the ult comes out from Lucid for the flash. And then in this play, I think Duro just completely clutched this. We end up seeing a great shuffle again from Showmaker that knocks Ruler in. And Aiming thinks it's a free kill, but the Braum blocks so much damage, has to flash for it, and then dies to Duro because his ult isn't quite available.
It's just a complete disaster for DK. And it's, again, all of this to me, it just feels like a snowball effect. They have to go for these forced plays because they're falling so far behind in lane. And then you end up with these really desperate fights, which Genji are very ready, very happy to take. And we are looking at, we're going to have to flip something.
Oh, there's no way you kill Akasante.
No. Yeah, and also it's 25 seconds.
I actually think if all 5 members of D+ were top, they would still lose soul by the time they kill.
But as soon as they see Lucid here, and Keen just did,
I mean, they just
that should just mean free Mountain Soul.
No, they're giving it up.
He just did the walk strategy.
Oh no.
They're giving it up. Yeah, they're not going to try and contest for soul, which means that if you fought Kasante, was tanky before. If you thought Maokai was tanky before.
The thing is, it's not even just them, but like the game plan for D+ has been dive Ruler, kill him, hope we win the fight afterwards. He is now going to be tanky.
He's going to go Jackshow.
Yeah, he's going to be third item. Hard to kill. He's going to, and he has the Braum sitting on his. Oh man, it's
And they're probably still going to do it. They're probably still going to try and use everything to try and kill Ruler.
You know what?
And he's going to survive the entire fight while everyone else is dying around him.
Guys, I'm going to say it. I don't think D+ chances in this game look very good.
I would say that they would be the underdog.
I would say they are definitely the underdogs here.
Well, Chovy's going to dive in and really prove that point as the Brambles coming on through as well. Showmaker the target, and he will be executed. The Sundisk.
They don't even get rid of shield. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Hear me out. Might be a little early for this.
Okay.
Is Nongshim better?
Oh, God. Well...
I'm joking.
I guess maybe they did a lot better against Genji.
The actual reason is that Genji very clearly looked like a different team from a couple of days ago, but look at this defense!
Well, there's a Magnet Storm onto a couple of people. The Baron is also going down in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't know whether they win this 3 versus 4. Keen getting healed back up by God knows what. And yeah, there goes the Baron. So the 3 versus 4 keep away of the 2-man Baron is very simply executed.
But they did actually get Keen under half HP, which is very impressive, all things
I thought you were actually going to talk about it positively.
No, this game is done!
It was the tone of voice that really caught me off guard.
That's how he gets you.
No, he did. That's why we pay him the big bucks. Let's have a look at this engage once again from Chovy.
And yeah, Chovy sets it up. And to be fair, at this point, there aren't really a lot of plays that are bad for Genji. But I want to highlight what Ox was saying earlier, and I think we even saw that with the breakdown that we did. Chovy's pressure in this game has been incredible, and it's something he did on the Sylas. The Sylas KDA didn't look nearly as impressive, but I think his neutralization of Showmaker has been the biggest reason as to why this game has looked so lopsided. We know how reliant DK is on Showmaker actually being able to make plays. And we're just not getting any of that because Chovy is bullying in every single lane we've seen so far. Like, what is it, like an average 20-30 CS gap every single time we get to our first fight?
Yep, it's absolutely obscene. And this game, 2-0-7 on the Aurora. I don't even think Aurora has been an all that good pick for Chovy throughout this tournament thus far, as Shiu going to get pushed out. The Brambles are going to be used just to zone them away from this inhibitor turret, but maybe Keen's going to look for an engage angle as well. As it turns out, what you need to do is destroy structures, though, and so Gen.G, all business as they move into the enemy base. 2 inhibitors in the blink of an eye.
The Mountain Soul is doing so much here. I keep seeing like abilities being thrown into Gen.G, like aiming.
Look at that!
And it just
Yeah.
They're auto and
not making
Canyon.
damage.
You see it?
No, I didn't actually see it, Chronicler. He does have a large shield, though. Was that larger prior? That's the question. Oh, he lost. No, it's back again. He lost a bit. He doesn't have a shield right now. It's now your time as the ulti comes in from Chovy. Oh my goodness, Keen just pushes him into the wall. He gets taken down exceptionally low.
They got him.
Tanking up 2 Nexus turrets was maybe a little bit too much here, but the Nexus turrets are now removed. The Sun Disc, as well as the Killer Instinct, flies forward from aiming, but unfortunately, the Killer Instinct was on the side of Gen.G in this particular game. They're going to go to match point obscenely early in this best of 5, and DK really going to have to wake up now.
And you might look at that Nongshim series and go, hey, you know, Gen.G, they were up 2-0 on that one as well, and that became a 5-game banger. I don't quite have the same feeling about this one with how these games have played out.
Yeah, it's been, and I feel like it's textbook Gen.G. You know, we talked about them just accruing advantages over time, but it feels like they are leveraging even slight advantages so heavily, like reset timers, or the fact that Chovy's like a little bit of experience up, the way they've handled the early lane setups as well with, you know, Chiwu being punished so heavily in the swap. It just feels like these little edges they fester. They become wounds that you just can't heal from over the course of the game. Chovy does 1 million damage. Obviously, he was just getting so much poke, but like, it's one of these things where, like, yes, they've committed some big picks like the Cassante for Keen, but, you know, there's still so many champions available. We're only 2 games into it. We're not late and fearless, and Gen.G are staring down a 3-0.
And to me, again, it comes down to the mid lane matchup. I think that DK with Showmaker looking comfortable is so far away. And we haven't seen that this series so far, and if we don't, I think it's going to be a free zip.
Yep, he's just playing champions that are way too normal. That's not what we want. We want the Trinimirs, we want Zillions, we want all sorts of weird stuff from Showmaker moving into game number 3. We are going to go to a short break, the space. Going to break that one down, and we'll see whether DK can keep themselves alive.
색깔 사도 된다. 안 맞았어? 세전에 나면 공 본다.
아 얘네 어차피 이거 얘네가 해야 돼.
맞아, 얘네가 해야 되긴 해. 얘네 못 지워, 못 지워. 이거 포탑 깨줄 수 있나요? 어차피 깨. 그냥 그 걸리는 것만 조심해.
한번 공만 볼게.
야, 파이서 넣었어요? 조심. 살짝 걸렸다. 사업 깨자. 나 누웠고. 그냥
타워부터 깨.
나 공 볼게.
이거 아지를 공만 조심하면 끝나.
바로 잡았어. 뺏어. 마우스만 지키면 돼. 난 죽었어. 되나? 이거 해주면 안 되지?
단단해.
I am Sanuzal, unconquered king of the Noxii, tyrant of the great grass ocean, follower of the first truth. The strong eat, while the weak have no offerings for their gods. No hope for eternal glory in the Hall of Bones. For them, a reckoning awaited. So I darkened the skies with the ashes of the unworthy, and built a kingdom upon sacrifice and blood. In time, I left the husk of mortality behind, and prepare to learn the final truth. But there were no gods. No Hall of Bones. No eternal glory. There was only one truth. I am Sonerzal, the unconquered, and I will forge the kingdom I was denied.
At the end of the victory against Nongshim, we got to interview Coach Kim, and he said, I got to get back to work. There's a lot of things we need to do against D+. And it looks like they're doing all of them because Gen G are dominant. They're not giving D+ any room to breathe, and they're one game away from the grand finals of the LCK Cup. Welcome back to the space. Digon alongside Wolf and Wadid. And D+ look lost, man.
I think Gen G look better, that's for sure. But form on the day in a best of 5 like this matters a lot, and I think D+ do not have it. Like, this is the worst look we've seen for them, I feel like, overall the entire tournament. And some of the confidence I was talking about this team seemed like they found in the pre-show. I was like, yeah, this team actually looks confident for the first time. They do not look confident today. They do not look coordinated. They don't look like they're on the same page. The mid-jungle synergy that we've praised so much isn't there. And it's starting to feel like this is just going to be a 3-0 stomp.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand why they're starting to pick up some meta picks, you know? Like, they picked up the win with the weird champions. I mean, the synergy, you know, the Pantheon, Zillion, those kind of champion kind of help the DK because those kind of champion, you rarely like get to play against it, right? So that's why many teams are banning those Showmaker picks, but right now he's just playing normal meta champions that is not effectively like helping out DK. So I feel like just in general, Genji looks so much better.
Yeah, they definitely do. And here's some a way of how it's been happening from the macro level. Just D+ not getting lane assignments and then falling behind in objectives.
I mean, look at the Seth lane. It's gonna hit it here, and after that, they're gonna get hit by Varus Q as well. I mean, it kind of shows that they're having a hard time in lane, but also, I mean, you can say that you pick Kai'Sa because like you can have lane swap in this meta, but if they match it, do you think the lane swap and the Kai'Sa pick really effectively is gonna help your team? No, right? I think they should react to that. So they give up the Grub's pressure into the Drake. They can actually play for Drake and just lane swap once again, but they didn't do anything. They didn't take any action and they just got stomped in lane. So it was just so one-sided by them.
Yeah, it's really hard to actually play Kai'Sa like a dive pick into the composition of Genji when Genji has map control and they're ahead the entire time. The Maokai ults defensively, the Braum defensive capabilities. Sure, you've got Xiu on the Mbessa, you've got the Kai'Sa to follow up, you have Azir, but the enemy champions are going to be always generally super far away from you or out of vision. So the Kai'Sa pick really didn't hit for me. I would have rather seen something a little bit more front to back to play through, getting through that front line, especially the Cassante. Remember, Showmaker went for a Nashor's Tooth first, didn't really side lane at all.
No.
Could have gone Leandri's for some more damage. They were just all over the place on this one.
Yeah, we've seen them be humming on all cylinders. Not the case this time. They did get the opportunity to fight front to back here in the mid lane, and just keep your eyes on aiming here. We've been talking about it here in the space for a little while. Maybe you could have stayed further back, maybe not. The Aurora jumps on him, but watch.
I mean, I think it was really great engage by Sejuani and Rel at the same time. But I mean, I think it was really free team fight for the DK, and this is the timing that they can actually bounce back. But here, aiming just randomly like decide to just jump in to finish the Braum there. I mean, I think it was super unnecessary there because he could actually just play for front lane and just shred all the targets, and then after that he can actually use his flash, use his ultimate, but I think it was really horrible choice right there.
Yeah, I mean, Ruler out of the picture and Chovy on with all of his abilities on cooldown, I think he just wasn't really able to track Chovy's movement in the fight. He sees the Aurora swap sides on the ultimate and he panics. He's like,
yeah, he didn't have the cooldowns, right?
Yeah, I think he sees low health champion on the other side that he can ult to, get a kill, and also escape and press the button there. But I think if he just stays, they could focus Chovy down. Maybe there's another angle there. It's not a guaranteed fight. At this point, they're already so far behind, but it was a snap decision that wasn't the right one. We've seen too many of those from D+ today.
Yeah, both games, they fall behind early. They find one opportunity, don't quite play it right. Here's the nail in the coffin over at Otacon.
This fight, very, very broken up from D+. Look at Showmaker trying to find where Chovy is. Sapling control here is insane. They can see everything. Like right now for Genji, there's no angle they don't know about. Now, Beryl does find a nice engage here. Mbessa goes in, but look at the Maokai ultimate as well. Tracking, keeping everybody locked down. Xiu trying his best to make an impact in this game, but the Cassante is just too big, and they blow up Lucid instantly as well. And Showmaker just sit on the edge like, man, I really wanted to follow up. I really wanted to make something happen here off the Beryl's ult. If he was there to hit a massive shove when Beryl went in, maybe this fight gets split in half. Maybe there's an angle there, but he was trying to track Chovy. Beryl's going the other direction. And once again, it's an objective fight where D+ are not on the same page. And this, like I said, it feels to me like the first series this entire year so far where D+ are this disjointed.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I feel like it's kind of huge mid gap happening in this series. I think Showmaker with his normal meta picks, I don't think it's gonna like work for this series, and especially when you play against Chovy when he's on form right now. Like his team fight with Aurora is like so insane. Whenever you see his positioning with the Aurora and like the other champions, like I think especially with Aurora, it's really hard to position yourself because it's kind of short range, and also you're kind of burst damage, but you're not gonna actually like kill the target. So it's really important to hide yourself and look for the chance, like look for the opportunity. But I feel like Chovy find out that opportunity every single time. So I think that was a huge factor there.
Yeah, I know we've spent a lot of time talking about D+ not looking on form, but Genji, they look good. This is what we're used to seeing. It is getting leads across the map and then forcing a team into an uncomfortable position. They've done that not once, but twice now at a high level. Let's see if they're able to close it out with a 3-0 sweep, or will D+ be able to battle back? Let's send it on over to the casters for game number 3.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. And one thing that the space beautifully highlighted to me during that whole segment was the fact that our power assessment is always relative. And what we have to remember is that at the very beginning of the play-ins, we said goodbye to the Kesper Cup champions. That's the bottom of the barrel, right? Is Kesper Cup champions, that auspicious tournament. So we have to remember, all of our teams are really good. And Gen.G, no different. They had, you know, a few oopsies, perhaps, against Nongshim and against Humble Life Esports, but we know that this team is capable of great things.
Yeah, but the thing is with the Nongshim series, that was 2 whole days ago, right? Actually, was it 3 days? That's a lifetime ago.
That's too many days, yeah.
Yeah, you know, things change so quickly. So there's so much time to solve these issues, apparently, according to Gen.G, and just get good.
Yeah, I got no quips when it comes to the substance of what you said. I'm just shocked you said bottom of the barrel and didn't make a bad barrel pun, so I want to commend you for that. I feel like you definitely
Thank you. I really had to hold back.
No, I know you did, so I know it's hard for you, so I want to give you credit for that one. And Atlas, there is a sinking feeling that maybe we did oversell this series, and if DK don't very, very rapidly get their gameplay together.
One thing we haven't had is a reverse sweep. We've had a lot of 5 games.
Yeah, we've also had
but
the
we haven't had the reverse sweeps, though, have we?
Yeah, they're rare for a reason. I feel like this, to me, so far is feeling more like just a straight-up 3-0.
Do you know what the one main prerequisite for a reverse sweep is, though? To be down 0-2. And do you know what DK are right now? They are down 0-2. So I don't know whether I had to really spell it out for you, but I'm sure this is how it happened.
There is a lot against them, though, right? They've looked rough in this series so far. We did predicted for them.
Oh, yeah.
Jonah Strong predicted against them, you know?
Oh, God.
A lot of odds to fight against for them. And, you know, draft opens up. They have left the Nidalee open this time.
I can't help but
notice.
notice.
And a Poppy now. So I assume a Poppy... But it's Gen.G who now banned the Nidalee, so I assume you pick up the Poppy first pick?
Unless you want a Lilia. That's what Lucid is considering right now.
And he has been incredible at it. The Lilia is something that should also work well with the champion pool of Shio and Showmaker. Now, Poppy still insanely high power. I think we can also look towards the Ashe. Now that we've gotten a little bit deeper into the series, I feel like she will rise up in priority and would make a lot of sense. It's also Ruler piloting it, so it makes a ton of sense in that regard.
I think it also works well if you end up with a Poppy in the support role, because she's not got as clear, easy engage as like a Nautilus or Leona. You don't just have press a button, we go in. And having an AD carry who can do that for you has a ton of value. So Ashe, Poppy looking like a very good rotation here. I'm interested to see what Showmaker ends up playing with the Lilia. Not had the most impactful series so far. We've seen him pair well with the likes of things like Pantheon, but we get the MF Nautilus, so...
The classic Lilia MF, we don't wake you up when we do the bullet times.
You know what? We've seen this combo a decent amount in the LCK Cup, and I can't remember a single time we've seen them do that combo.
Do it. I do think that after we saw Viper pilot that one MF game that should have been unplayable, you know, maybe aiming saw that, it's like,
maybe this champion's good.
I don't think she is, but we'll see. I'm with you though. Like, if we don't actually see the combo come for even once, I'm gonna be very mad.
I will say, Zyra into MF Lilia doesn't feel great, but I think this could possibly be the worst experience for a Nautilus ever into Poppy, Zyra, Ashe.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to play the game? If you queue in, you get interrupted, there's plants to get in the way, you're never running. You're always walking, and not even fast. You're like stumbling around from all the slows. It's painful.
Which is why they're flexing the Nautilus.
Do you know what I want? I want the Rocks Tigers bottom lane. That's what I want. I want the Ashe Zyra, and I want Canyon to be playing the Poppy, because honestly, Duro didn't really inspire me that much when he was playing the Poppy.
Isn't the MF specifically a counter into... That's why it was picked in the first place, right? Like, that's the whole... That was like the big thing, because you can queue for the plants.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
so I think that's the reason why.
Less good, but still, it would be fun.
I didn't want to kill your dreams, Atlas.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's all right. My dreams. It was pretty.
It was a 5-gamer.
Yeah, they weren't super looking good at this point in the day.
Yeah, Showmaker Dreams dying a bit with the Pantheon being banned.
LeBlanc as well.
Yeah, we did see the set, I believe, paired with the Lilia as well was something he played.
Chovy's also played that one, so they could pick it away from him if they'd like to rub salt in the wound. And both of these teams are looking for AD mid laners as well. So that is sort of hitting a premium right now, as the Smolder is a big one that Chovy has certainly had a field day on in the past. Let's see what he does decide to pick up here, or whether we're going to get the Keen pickup, as that's an Ahri. Not exactly the most inspiring mid-jungle as the Zyra Ahri, but see what they do decide to go with.
Yeah, maybe concerned if there is something like the set coming out that you want something with a bit of mobility to avoid that. It's definitely, I mean, it was already hard to get on top of Genji's backline. It is definitely hard now. And to be honest, I think about the set, playing set in Zyra also seems painfully unfun, so...
Tryndamere, though.
Still
Tryndamere into
seems
Poppy
pretty
sounds
unfun.
awful, yeah.
Anything melee,
I
really.
kind of like this. I'm also okay with that. The downside, obviously, of this is that you are looking at a scenario where your 2v2 is a lot worse because you're going for double AP. Also, just looking at it, right? Like, it's again, so much of what has made D+ feel great has been Showmaker having that impact. I think on the Rise early on, that's harder to do. He's also been amazing, though, as this is a blind pick here for Shiyu, and it's just going to be his combo pick. And I think they also knew that this was coming. If this ends up coming through, like, that was very clearly telegraphed, that that's probably what Keen is going to pilot.
Yeah, the thing is, sometimes you end up with these compositions with a lot of bulky frontline that Lilia can kind of just run circles around, and they can't really do enough damage to her. But, I mean, this is a squishy comp from Gen G, but also they have a lot of damage.
There's a lot of circles as well.
Yeah, so I feel like it's one of those games where you can just get exploded. You know, even though the Rise and the Lilia feel quite bulky in a lot of games, I don't think you'll survive very long if any CC hits from the side of Gen G, and they do have a lot of CC.
Not to mention the fact that they've also got Cannon Barrage, which makes Lilia's life a whole lot worse. I just feel like when you're Lilia, you want to be abusing that massive amount of movement speed that you have.
Yeah,
and you just don't have a lot of that.
Yeah. Ash as well, and then you also look at the fact that when it comes to trying to ever engage onto anyone, has already been highlighted, was already hard. Gangplank adds even another layer to that. And who tanks an arrow on DK? No one. No one tanks the arrow.
It's got to be Beryl.
Well, yeah, and then he like hooks out and prays.
No, then he dies, but it's Beryl, so...
Right, that's all part of his game
It's while
plan.
he's going in?
Yes.
Nice.
Maybe it's Showmaker once he's built a Banshee's Veil.
We need to see that Showmaker.
Yep.
And Rise is the type of pick to get it done.
Yeah, does give them a good amount of silent power as well. Rise as well in the Ahri, but also has a decent time into the GP.
That's this guy's toast. Hey, man. Welcome. Didn't know that he was here today. Very, very cool stuff.
I think his team is doing bootcamp here.
Aha, that would make sense. Getting in there a little bit early.
Well, he's feeling good. His team is up 2-0.
Not
good day to show up, honestly.
And definitely a good day to choose the Gen G sign.
Exactly.
That is 100% it. We'll see whether it stays that way as we dive onto the Rift for Game 3. Well, Gen G fans in full voice today. And I just want to go back to Disguised Toast just for a second, because his name was like a pun on the Hearthstone character.
It's the Fire's ringleader, yes.
Yeah. This guy's toast. But it's like, do people just not even get that that's the reference anymore?
No, of course not.
It's kind of crazy.
And guess what? That card's coming
Wait,
back.
Orcs
by
is
the
looking
way.
at us oblivious.
He had no idea.
Did you have any idea?
I'm not a Hearthstone guy.
No, it's
a bit of a boo.
It's buffed. It's coming back on the next rotation.
Oh, is it really?
It really is.
Oh, yeah, you still play the real game, don't you?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy,
Have
man.
since the beginning. Every now and then we take a break. You know the 5 stages of grief?
Yes.
The only one you need to know is denial, because that's where I am right now. I was feeling
You're just going to get stuck there?
Yes, that's where I'm stuck right now. I was feeling a 5-game banger. I was really hoping that we were going to have the classic, the back and forth, the crazy moments, everything that Gen G and DK series has given us for so many of the past years. And right now, I'm not feeling too good.
You know, I think that I've been in that denial stage since 2021. And I've never left. I think I've just always thought that DK have had it in him.
The way you talk about Beryl, that does actually make a ton of sense.
And I mean, in Beryl's defense.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, not another jungler!
Lucid's getting Duro'd. Oh, dear.
Right.
Well, watch out. Eve is looking for a turnaround. Yeah, he does manage to hit that level 2, as Duro was thinking, wait, I can't let him get away with it. So he's just going to wander back in yet again.
Yeah, and you know what the thing with Zyra is, as we all know, is that her clear speed is a little crazy. He is going to clear 3 camps while Lucid has cleared 1.
Yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous. The barrels are also going to connect onto Showmaker here. Shiu's down to 200 health as well. Barrels making his way forward, though. There's the flash! Nailing the stun from the passives. Can they take down Chovy? That's the question. The answer is going to be absolutely yes, as Shiu on the board extremely early.
I think Beryl also tried to hook Keen there based on his position. Right?
Yeah.
Like he went for the auto and tried to walk past. As Canyon.
Oh, he misses it completely, but nails the Q. So
Yeah,
he's going to do a lot of damage.
You know, I think the move from Beryl made great, but Zyra has been doing this thing where she kills her jungle camps and gets level 3.
Wasn't it Canyon?
Yeah, that invade was not. Like,
Yeah.
the play mid was great. That invade against Zyra, you can't. Like, there's no world in which.
The thing is, I don't get it, because either she cleared towards top side,
Yes.
those camps are gone, or she
she's
cleared
there.
towards bot side, she's level 3, and
No,
you're a level 2 Lilia and a level 1 Nautilus with no sums.
That invade made no sense.
Wasn't it? But also, wasn't it Canyon that debuted the Zyra when she sort of came back into vogue once again
no.
against DK, and also did the mega speed clear?
Oh, and there's no smite for Lucid. This is gone.
Yep, Kane has his.
Yeah. So
And
he just walks in and steals it away. And he doesn't... Okay, he does actually smite it away. As Showmaker's going to have to flash, but the Rune Prison is down.
Barrel's on its way.
Managing to land a lot of damage here. As Canyon still with the flash, does use it here.
He's going in!
Lucid immediately getting out of there as Duro, the flash heroic charge, and he is out. Not scot-free, though, as that is 2 flashes now on cooldown.
At least it's signs of life, though. I don't know if DK need to go quite this hard.
No.
They do.
Okay.
They definitely do. Right?
No pullbacks, no breaks.
You can't ease back into this series and slowly ramp it up. It's pedal to the metal. Look at Beryl. This is how you have to play the game every single time. It doesn't matter.
He is so pedal to the metal. He's chosen a skin that's entirely made out of metal.
Now, levels are just a state of mind, okay?
Well, he's got all... he also has
gonna...
a passive that works like a button, so it's like he's got 3 levels. As Keen, he's bearing the brunt of it as the barrels are doing a little bit of work here. He still has flash and still has oranges, so he was never going to die. Still, the message has been sent.
Did we catch why Ruler flashed?
No.
That also happened. Maybe she will force it out of him, because I think they've been laning. While all of this has been happening, they've been laning against one another. Also, Duro also acknowledging that levels are a state of mind.
It could also just be solidarity with the support. You know, sometimes you have to think that maybe Ruler just said, "My support flashed, I will flash too."
Oh, that is beautiful camaraderie.
It is.
That's some real thanks, Alistair energy. You know,
Iconic Ruler moment. In case you're not sure,
this is where the flash happened.
It was in fact Shiu just getting on top of Ruler as Maganar. So good call there by Ruler.
So it wasn't solidarity.
No,
that's worrying to Genji.
Or it was just opportunely timed at the same point where he
has
needed
to make
the flash
it look
to save his
legitimate.
life.
I want to do a small history lesson. People might not know that. Hey, good job, Alistair Bit.
Yeah,
so this was during a time when we had a lot of substitutions, and Lospa came in from the Genji Challengers team, played a great Alistair game, and then in the comms, Ruler was like, "Great job, Alistair," as opposed to...
That was when the Nexus was dying as well.
As opposed to saying the name of his teammate, or even, you know, their tag.
Yeah.
It's just, "Good job, Alistair."
It was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. As Ruler takes a fair bit of damage from that double up here. As Duro's the one that's copping the brunt of it. In goes Lucid. I think Duro is definitely dead, and there he goes. 2-0 up now for DK, and despite the fact that Genji found some decent angles in the early game in the jungle was kind of good, this is not quite working. It's Chovy with an absolutely gorgeous charm to turn it around. I was mid-sentence, Genji. Let me praise DK.
Lucid's 2 levels down. Like, we are not getting the rest of these grubs, and it's the use of the lack of flash. Showmaker flashed earlier in that bot side skirmish. Chovy punishes him hard.
Well, there is a make it rain in a bullet time as aiming is flashing on top of Ruler, and he finds the extra autos, but he trades it 1 for 1. Keen throws the ultimate into the abyss, just as a sign of solidarity himself, I guess. But Genji, 2 kills to come back, but that is feats of strength over to DK, I guess, in the kill department.
You know, I was the person who said levels were a state of mind, but they are looking pretty important right now in this jungle matchup. This is a good play, though. Even though the W comes out from Duro, it doesn't really stop Barrel connecting. And here, just no flash on Showmaker allows that Charm Flash to come from Chovy, beautifully set up. And then Canyon just chases Lucid away, because really, there's just nothing you can do.
And goes and gets level 6 from that gank in the mid lane as well, so it all just kind of piles in on top of itself as aiming.
This is that awkward moment where after your passive is gone on MF, you're just not doing that much damage.
I think it's not just because of the feats, but you know, you deny the wave. I think the really big thing is that he flashed, and Ruler's flash is going to be up soon. And I don't think this is the easiest game to play as MF, because there is a lot of backline dive, there is a Poppy on the enemy team as well. But at least you are getting some help in the gold department as...
There's the arrow. It's going to sail towards the bottom
Would
side.
have definitely been Showmaker dead. Canyon was also in the general vicinity there.
And we've been talking a lot about the jungle matchup and, you know, Chovy managing to pick up that kill and then Ruler, but it's Keen's Gangplank. Now, we talk about Keen Sante, things like this. He's been making Gangplank look broken since he was the only player on Afrika. Like, this guy has been so good at the Pirate, and he still scales exceptionally well. He's going to be a big problem moving into the later stages of the game is what I'm kind of thinking. And as you can see, the XP, Canyon is first place, but the rest of the top 3 are also Genji.
I love that we got the graphic earlier showing the CS and like highlighting the difference in the junglers, and now we're getting the graphic showing the XP just to really hammer home how cooked the jungle matchup is right now.
Zyra will always outpace because her early speed is so much better. Like Lilia eventually, I think, catches up because her movement speed is so crazy. So once you get an item, you're actually able to cycle through your camps very quickly.
And as well, right?
Yeah, well, of course. But just even saying that it's relatively even, but the early clear you're never going to be able to match. But then add to that the fact that Duro very heavily invaded, which he did a great job of. Then secondly, the fact that Lucid has been playing very heavily for impact on the map. And it just means that he is... not going to catch up in the gold department anytime soon.
The problem is as well, he got the smite upgrade a lot earlier than Lucid did, so he just walked into his jungle and smited the Raptors before he even got into range of Lucid's smite. And right now, still 8 stacks ahead of him.
But 35 CS, just that's a large amount of camps. Also able to take this dragon, as we can see here. And the Hextech Drake going over to Genji. As you can see, Ruler and Duro now moving towards the bottom side. No real plate damage being done outside of mid lane and the bottom lane plate that DK were able to pick up for themselves. But man, it's feeling so similar to the first 2 games in this series, and we need a reverse sweep, right? Like that's
no, this is
we need 5 games at least.
We're building suspense.
Okay, well,
it's going to keep on building.
Someone needs to let DK know that there is no game after this if they lose.
There's Barrel.
They cannot keep building.
Barrel's looking. Don't think he's going to get anything. And yeah, the early game was very explosive, but as soon as we settle into just normal laning, Genji takes over again. So I actually think the chaos was appropriate, and we need to see more of it.
Yeah, any sort of downtime in the action, I feel like, is just favoring Genji. And this isn't even like this is just how Genji is. You know, the slower game where they end up just gradually pulling ahead.
Yeah,
feels really painful when you're on the opposite side of it.
There are a lot of scaling elements, I guess, on both sides. You know, Ryze will be doing more and more, although he will be doing a bit of dying here as Stranglethorns goes down. He does flash away, but it's not going to be enough, and he's going the wrong direction as everyone gets sleepy. Canyon going to be going down as Chovy has to get himself out of their bowling ball. Going to miss, but it's a 1-for-1 in the end. Definitely a good trade there for DK.
You know what's the sad thing is we nearly saw the combo. This sleep with the bullet time.
Yeah, right.
They fell asleep just outside of it, but it's a 1-for-1 in the end. The trade comes through. Showmaker without his flash, though, could be in a vulnerable spot, but Lucid, I think, very much appreciating some alone time without Canyon breathing down his neck.
Yep, being able to grab these grubs as well, and the fact that they were able to get that first one in the first round means that if he's able to secure all of them, then it is going to be some Void Mites to come on out. As he's taking a lot of damage, but this is just the thing that happens, and he's got some honey fruit.
Yeah, you know,
got a skew as well.
If you weren't aware that he was a little bit behind, you know, if the several graphics and us talking about it didn't make it clear, I think this does really.
It's been a while since I've been worried about a jungler taking grubs by themselves.
Yeah,
as this flash from Showmaker, man, this is exactly the energy we were talking about. Flashes in, basically guaranteeing his death. As you point out, I think that aiming not quite getting the combo there, but as long as they get the kill there as they do, it also means that now the lead for Lucid is a lot less bad as in we go.
Yeah, Realm Warp to bring Showmaker towards his top lane as Keen is pretty tanky, to be honest. He is getting taken down lower and lower, and there is the combo from Showmaker to lock that one down. Chovy turns up, misses the charm though. Canyon with a lot of damage as Showmaker the first one to go down. Chovy almost surviving. Manages to utilize the Q, but it's not quite enough, and Beryl limps his way out another one for two. I tell a lie, as Kane had fallen down earlier. Maybe it's a 2 for 2, as now Duro going to move in, pushes Shiu back, doesn't manage to get the full hop, and I think is going to pay the price. Ruler locks that one down with the Q doing that extra damage.
Yeah, so hard to play against the Poppy there as the Gnar.
Yeah.
You can't hop onto her and get the bounce as she'll just block you. But ultimately, Chovy going in for that play without ultimate kind of just fell flat in this scenario. So the dive was very slow, which gave time for Gen G to move and react. But you can tell that she's trying to avoid taking too much damage. I think Beryl thought he had aggro there, so he queued away. But in the end, he wasn't the one with the aggro initially. Chovy turns up, but as I said, no ultimate, doesn't end up hitting the charm, and it's mostly Canyon who makes this close, but doesn't quite have the damage to kill Beryl, and the last plant hits aiming instead.
Beryl going in to auto that plant as well was very unnecessary.
Beryl was actually playing PvE the whole time, because he was killing barrels in the first part of the play, and then plants immediately afterwards.
Yep. And there, as you point out, there was just, I think, not really a way for Shiu to live there, unfortunately, unless he clocks the play earlier.
It's one of those...
He really should have, because if there's no response from Poppy on the top side play, you should know they're on the bottom half of the map.
It's one of those horrible situations, though, where it's just a Poppy and an Ashe, so you think, I can probably make my way out of this, but in reality, I think the correct call was just to save the flash, because there's so little you can do there.
Ooh, Showmaker taking a lot of damage. There's the charm connecting, but Chovy's getting sleepy and isn't actually going to be put to sleep, so it's fine. Keep his verdict, just to zone everyone away from this turret. And when you've got set plays like this available to you by like just pressing R on Poppy when you're near a turret you want to kill, it does feel like Gen G are going to be feeling comfortable moving throughout the rest of the game as well, because it's such a good siege tactic as the game goes later.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big reason why Poppy's prioritized so heavily. The fact that you can just channel it, just release it, like not actually use the ultimate, and it's back within 15 seconds. You're not even committing resources, that's the thing, to the play. You just have that free advantage, essentially.
All right, Keen not going to find too much joy with that barrel chain, but you can see double the amount of plate gold going over to Gen G. 5-6 is the kill score. DK have at least been able to find some picks in this early stage of the game. And we don't have feats of strength locked down just yet. First turret going over to Gen G, and the kills going over to DK. And so now we're looking for the objectives. Who's going to be able to get the next 2 for their team? Try and upgrade those shoes. As Gen G looking like they have a bit of extra control of the map. They have already started off this dragon, so that is going to put the extra notch into their objective count.
Gonna go down here. We do have the Herald spawning in about a minute. Do you think that DK are gonna try and play towards that? And this does feel like a bit more playable for DK, because I do think that this composition should excel when it comes to the team fighting. Poppy to me is the biggest issue outside of the great disengage that they're for Gen G. But specifically, I think Lucid in teamfights has been a really solid Lilia, keeping the sleep for the right opportunity. But they got to really out-execute, because again, they're going to be like 1.5k gold down going into these fights.
One of my concerns is it's difficult to approach, right? Lucid's behind, he can get blown up easily. Beryl, it's horrible playing Nautilus into this comp, and the thing is, you kind of have to be the one to approach, because if you just have a standoff, then Gen G can fish with things like the RA Charm or the Arrow, but also Duro can just channel his ult. And that can be enough where a fight doesn't even need to happen for Gen G to secure objectives.
The follow-up is so obscene as well. If you do manage to land that arrow, then you have Grasping Roots, Charm, and then Cannon Barrage and everything else. Like, even if you then try and counter-engage because they've used a lot of single-target CC, the amount of AoE that then just rains down on top is kind of insane. So, Hook. Max range just needs one extra link. Beryl as Grasping Root's going to connect, but not too much more, and didn't have plans to back it up.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Hook connecting would have been a good thing.
It would not have. No.
With the Zyra and the Ashe over the wall, but I think Beryl was just trying to see if he could.
They have set a position now. I do think that the one weakness that Gen G have is retaking control of an area can be quite hard, unless you can set up a lot of poke damage, which we do see Keen, Canyon, Ruler all moving forward.
Yep, Keen walks over a ward, DK getting that information,
That's
and they
mega
will
gone.
immediately back away. Yeah, like you were saying, not going to be a great time for Shiu to teleport in. They do want to contest this Rift Herald. They bought a bit of time. I guess there is that, as Aiming's going to move on over as well. Let's see whether they can land this sleep combo as Make It Rain comes down. Arrow going to be flashed there by Beryl very nicely. The bowling ball just barely making it all the way through as the bullet time is going to be channeled into Keen, and he just doesn't care. Showmaker now dives into the thick of things, and Canyon's going to immediately make him regret it. And Gen G can do no wrong in this fight as already the Rise is on the floor. Beryl's looking for this longer chain once again as Depth Charge is going to connect onto Chovy. Everyone's getting sleepy, but it doesn't seem to matter as the flash over from Ruler. It's vintage kiting here from the Ashes. He does go down immediately afterwards as the barrel not going to connect, but Aiming is out of the fight, and Gen G, they find a convincing one.
Just feels so hard for D+ to approach these situations. They're trying to find angles in, but Gen G just throwing so much damage back in return. Showmaker in this Rise just in these fights feeling like a liability on a mobile pick that can be targeted so easily. And as you said, whenever any CC hits, more follows.
And Beryl tries to look for the player, but gets knocked away immediately. I think Aiming needs to be slower with these ultimates. Not in a position there where you can actually pull it off, especially because the other part of his players were playing towards the top side of the river, trying to look for something there, unable to find, and then this TP to come through and attempt to turn. And if Lucid actually hits Ruler, like at least you get the cleanse, doesn't quite find the sleep on him, ends up going down immediately, and Shiu arrives, is mega, but it's too little and too late.
Yeah, has to immediately back away. I got a little bit overexcited with the whole Ruler situation. He did do a flash forward, and that sort of triggered something in my brain, but then did immediately fall down afterwards. Definitely the right energy that we're looking for on this guy, though, as they move further into this game.
Now we have a situation where Gen G, they have the feats of strength locked in, 2,000 gold up, they have those 2 dragons in pocket. Dragon coming up in about a minute, but on the opposite side from
there are things on the ground, and the arrow is going to connect there as Lucid. Not going to die just yet, and he is actually going to be able to walk his way out. Duro dies. I have no idea how that eventuated the way that it did, but nicely done there by DK.
I want to highlight, yeah.
I guess
it's fine. Lucid definitely feels like he should have died. Walking back into the volley was also optimistic. Aiming has his IE, you know, throughout all that chaos in the last game.
And he's 5-1-3.
Yeah, he has been picking up a lot of kills. And, Shiu does have flash, might have to use it here.
Yeah, he's going to get slowed down. The Stranglethorn's going to come down first just to get the mobility out, and then the Grasping Roots are a sitter. Nicely played there by Gen G.
And actually, it's a Zyra as well, so... I mean, it's not an issue now, but when Anakin's up, you have to be really cautious about how quickly she can shred through this objective that we've seen so many teams struggle with.
It's double Leandri's, so they really will take down its health bar pretty quickly. So, gonna have a look at this fight once again.
Sun comes in, second Sun. I think the big thing is Canyon just not being in range, as if he was, it would have just been immediate death for Lucid. Playing with fire a bit there, and you can see she was trying to hold his dash so he can hop off the minions, but he just doesn't quite hit that first minion. If he'd bounced off it then flashed, I think he might have been able to get away, but once again we see she was targeted in the side lane. Stranger's flash still goes down, unfortunately.
And this is something that I think we've seen with Shiu in particular, which makes sense given that this is his first really high-profile tournament. Well, unless you count Cast back up, which I do. I probably, really should. As hold that thought as we have a fight for Soul Point here.
Yeah, Gen G in good position to do so as they do teleport in.
Poke is big here, though.
Oh, Charm connects onto Beryl. Doesn't take a whole lot of health. Still needs as much health bar as he possibly can get. Lucid doing his very best just to fish with these bowling balls, find some angles, and the Lilia is getting scarier and scarier. We saw that Gen G are struggling to engage onto him and then find any joy, because Aiming's very happy to pull the trigger at a moment's notice.
Lucid trying to stack his passive.
This barrel is so frightening. A hook gonna go wide yet again. Beryl taking so much damage from the barrel. It's confusing to say, and the arrow's going to connect as well. He burns down, and Gen G don't even need to commit to the fight, and Beryl's just dead.
It's just so difficult to approach against his composition, and Gen G... Chovy.
Chovy does watch out, and he doesn't even say eat. He's absolutely fine. Heroic charge onto Shiu, who's now out of position. Stranglethorns to knock him up over and over again. as the Rip Carol flies in. Ruler with a volley to finish off the kill, and now that flank comes through. Lucid hit by that charm as these barrels are coming down, and the non-committal CC is just nutty from Gen G here as Chovy dashes on forward, looks for Showmaker now, who's taking so much. Another max range charm, and Chovy is going to add that injury to the insult, and Ruler's going to take another one. I mean, the Dragon went down as an afterthought, and Gen G just decimate the fight.
They just are completely in control. It feels like constantly D+ are fishing for opportunities, but they're grasping at straws, and Gen G feel casual in the way they're decimating them.
A barrel arrow takes down Barrel, doesn't really get to play the game there.
What?
Barrel arrow.
Ah, barrel.
Yeah, no, barrel arrow.
Oh, got it. Yeah, arrow. So I forgot. This
Barrel,
is the arrow and
barrel, arrow.
Got it.
I feel like Gen G, we saw Chovy do this last game in the Aurora, controlling that banana brush and just making it impossible to approach. And then we have this play where it's just like steadily moving up, throwing pieces of CC and seeing what connects. And I think, once again, the Rise is just having such a difficult time here as it's a mobile pick. Like, Showmaker charges forwards to get to root and immediately pays for it.
And this is something that, again, and we need to keep repeating this because it just hasn't felt like we've seen this Gen G, right? This control in team fights. This
Not
slow and
since
steady.
the matchup against HLE.
Yeah, in what was it, week 1?
Week 1, game 1. It was like their very first match.
And Duro, whenever he's dying now, it feels like it serves a purpose, right? It feels like Ruler has connected. Canyon is not just by virtue of his play, but just by the virtue of the team play, which was so sorely missing, building a colossal lead over Lucid. And then, yeah, you know, Chovy Keen, no notes. You guys have been great. Yeah. Keep it up. And now Otacon's taken, and it feels like that dream of even a game 4 we might have to forego.
The thing is, especially when you think of like the win cons in the team fight for D+, which is honestly like a big CC combo with the, oh no.
Okay, yeah, Shu is in trouble. The arrow was to predict a flash that never actually eventuated, and then Duro just catches him. Steadfast Presence was always there. That was the mind game that Shu was playing, and he's going to lose. Gen G going to augment that with a dead turret as this inner just kind of evaporated.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like the final win con for D+ is like a big CC combo.
Or just him being sent home.
I don't get to finish my points because I don't even know how to explain what's going on. Ruler just, I mean, he has Otakon, so I guess
he needed to buy. He could afford the Bloodthirster, as you can see.
Fast recall.
It's not fast. It takes 15 seconds.
I mean, you also have to
tell
move
him.
into a
Why are you
safe
telling
place and things like that. You know, maybe he felt like he needed to walk all the way back to the side of the map.
A safe place, like anywhere on the map, because there's 6k gold ahead.
You also donate 200 gold to the team. You can deduct that off your taxes. I'm pretty sure charitable donation.
It's
and
philanthropy.
D+ are definitely in need right now. So
is that where we've gotten in this series? We're just making quips because it's so over.
It is feeling a bit over.
You know, the point I was trying to make is that there's like double stasis on Canyon and Chovy. They each have like Azonias or Seekers. You have Mikhails and Juro. You have Oranges on Keen. The dream of like a big sleep is dead.
You also
not going to happen.
Ruler has cleanse very soon.
Well, Arrow is going to miss here, but the Stranglethorns does not. And there's another circle of Venn diagram of death here from Gen G as Lucid and Beryl are just dead before they can really do anything.
I think the real thing we have to discuss and get to the bottom of is what powers does Jonah Strong have?
Well, this is okay, so I mentioned this off air. I am pretty sure that Jonah Strong is proof that time travel does indeed exist. And in fact, we're just living in Back to the Future 2. Because I think he's Biff. I actually think he's just Biff.
I think to predict that Gen G could show up again and make a comeback and show better form, I don't think that is that crazy, right? A few people predicted Gen G. But the 3-0 to come into the day after seeing them against Nongshim and be like, it's a 3-0.
He is the OG. I think he just truly believes in Chovy more than any of us could possibly do. Because I feel like every time you ask him about it, he's like, yeah, Chovy's the best. So like I just predict 3-0 for him and then
I really
the thing is, the other time with the great prediction, it wasn't a 3-0. What specifically about what led up to this point made him think 3-0?
All right, Hail Mary!
Maybe it's the turnaround. as Ruler is going to flash. That puts him in pretty good position because there's a teleport coming on forward. That's going to be Chovy joining a 3-man Nah. But if it happens when nobody's watching, doesn't really happen, as now Chovy's fighting Showmaker. Showmaker finds himself outnumbered as well. Heroic charge is gorgeous as they take down Lucid. And Showmaker going golden in the nick of time. Chovy dashing away. And Gen G, they leave Beryl up to go back and send a message to his people as they are now looking to take down the final Nexus in this series.
Just knocking on the doors now. The Bays closed it out. Gen G with such a dominant performance. Honestly, their best performance we've seen in the LCK Cup and coming at the perfect time when they need it. Beryl alone to try.
This is called peaking when you absolutely need to, as Gen G will take down Nexus's 1 and 2. Duro dodging that hook beautifully with the heroic charge. And man, a clean 3-0. Nothing to see here. And what I would have said was who could have seen it coming? But we have the answer. It's Jonah Strong. He saw it coming from a mile off.
And with Humble Life, we had many of the same qualms coming into playoffs. It felt like the individual players has had great moments, but it just didn't all come together. And here today, I think a lot of the criticism to DK is going to be valid. I feel like they hadn't really performed the way that we've seen them do previously. But at the same time, this Gen G is not the Gen G that we had seen at any point.
I think you need to vote for POM.
I know, I already put it in as well, but I guess I'll do a
another
double
one.
up.
Yeah, we've got to make sure that we get them in there.
You know, I feel like if there's a Gen G fan who watched the first series of the LCK Cup and then went into a coma and woke up today, seamless, completely seamless, they'll just watch it and be like, wow, yeah, Gen G, that's just Gen G.
I think they'd still be a bit surprised, though, because we're going into a grand final and it's not Gen G versus T1.
That's true.
So they'd be like,
true.
wow, why isn't T1 in the final? That's probably what the coma patient would say. But this would not, like, all of the drama leading up to this moment definitely would be lost.
I feel like that adds so much to Gen G, though. Overcoming the struggles.
Oh, look at the relief, man.
That was an extra loud cheer. I already extra loud cheer there for Duro, which I think he needed that. And you could see it on his face.
And the thing is, it's not just that Gen G won despite Duro. He was such a massive contributor today. He had a really good series. And I think it's taken time. They talked about how the scrims have been going well, with seeing why they were confident bringing Duro in and how they look when it clicks.
And it's something that you actually talked about a lot, but did is also mentioned as many times. For a support in particular, you need to both trust yourself and your team needs to trust you, because you're the one that's often going in. And if you're disjointed with them, it just looks, and we've seen this, there was a reason we looked up the most deaths. It's only supports, because they're the ones that are going to have to go in when things are looking dire. And in this game, everything clicked for Gen G.
Well, that's the thing. So much in the LCK Cup, we've praised Lehens and Beryl for what they've done for their teams. But often they've had times where they've gone so aggressive and ended up dying, and it's cost them their lives. And the thing is, these players are veterans. It doesn't shake them. Beryl will die 100 times in a game, and he'll keep going. But I think Duro, like, the pressure was clearly getting to him. He's playing with such veterans. But today, he really rose up, and he was confident with his play. He made plays happen, and he was doing his role flawlessly.
And to me, again, I think Showmaker had a rough day. But outside of that, looking at Lucid, for example, I don't even feel like he had a rough day. It was just like Pete Canyon was back, right? The Vi was amazing. And that's a champion that I think historically he has really struggled on. The Zyra was textbook. Showmaker was the guy that was next to him when he did this a million times.
Canyon just little broed Lucid and said, I'm the OG.
I'm the DK jungler, by the way. Where's Showworld's title, buddy?
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't quite have it yet. It's great to see.
Yeah? Are you from the future too, Atlas?
Leave the predictions to Jonah Strong.
I did make sure that I said 3-2 though, just to try and throw them off. You know, you don't want to be too right.
Yeah, Jonah Strong's a bit too obvious. He's gonna be investigated.
But you see, that's why Jonah Strong sometimes throws them away, you know, in some of the predictions.
Yeah.
So he doesn't get all of them right, so it keeps people guessing. The man's a genius, and we will never doubt him ever again. Let's have a look at some of these stats here in the postgame. Aiming was getting a lot of work done with these bullet times, but ultimately it didn't really matter because Gen G were just able to get all their ducks in a row. Felt like Ruler did a lot more than I was expecting him to in this game, to be perfectly honest. I thought that the damage graph would be ruled by Canyon.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the problems with Canyon not doing as much damage was people died a bit too quickly.
Yeah,
ran out of help. If there was more tanks on the side of D+, I think he would have done about 1 million damage.
Well, Chovy is going to pick up player of the match, and I'm pretty sure neither of you guys voted for him.
No.
I would have voted for Duro. Because,
I love that.
I just think he deserves it for being so much better than last time.
I was deciding between Duro and Canyon, and for similar reasons as you said, because Canyon was also
That's true.
much better than last time. But I think those two really led a lot of plays, had some great performances. But I think this is one of those series where I expect a very split vote because everyone played well.
I went for Keen. Which, if you think back to his Rumble game, if you think to that Cassante, like Cassante is kind of a no-brainer, but even his Rumble, I think was
Cassante? Whoa,
I know,
crazy.
But it's a Chovy vote. Is anyone ever going to be mad about a Chovy vote? No. He gapped Showmaker immensely, and that is something that DK is going to have to look towards because, to me, I think we saw Shiyu, as a newer player, I think we really saw it in the Nar game in particular, kind of showing those classic mistakes of just dying and still giving up your flash and playing so disciplined on the previous game and then not quite being able to make it on this one. But man, Gen G, what a complete and utter turnaround, and that sets up for quite a final.
Yeah, and it just really feels like a welcome back. I feel like we had the welcome moment for Humble Life Esports earlier on. We've got it finally here for Gen G, and it's on the verge of an LCK rematch of the summer final. And Orcs, what will your prediction be? Because you were the god of this matchup last time.
I need some time to think about it. I might need to consult whatever Jonas Strong does.
It's fine. We got you. For me, my predictions, as much as we joke about it,
I know you care the most. I don't know why I asked him first.
Well, so Humble, I want you to think back to the Humble Life and Gen G series. Think about how there were only 2 players on Gen G playing the game and how it went to 5 games.
So you're saying that if we connect
if there's
all of
5
the players
at once, I'm feeling pretty good about Gen G.
I will say though, it does seem like he'll be a 5-gamer because that's all HLE is.
It has to.
So far.
Well, but then HLE win.
And your reason for
5-game
predicting HLE last time was that they were due.
Yes.
They're not quite as due anymore because they won the last 2 times in best of 5s, right?
Yeah.
Well, here are the predictions. Jonas Strong, our Lord and Savior. We knew it already, but it is confirmed once again. And I think it is now getting towards time for the POM interview. And I believe we have G-Sun standing by for some translation as well. No, we are actually still going to be waiting a little bit longer because a player needed to go to the bathroom. And so we need to make sure that they're not going to be standing on stage dancing around.
Yeah. Is it going to be the team-wide interview? Because if that's the case, then you definitely those can go on.
It's not just Chovy would be throwing him under the bus. Chovy needed to go to the bathroom. He's making us all wait.
We don't know who.
That's
the magical part. I think also a good opportunity to say the final words on DK because tomorrow we're going to talk plenty about Gen G and Humble Life. I still think they had a good LCK Cup. I think towards the end we started to see some of the issues that they faced when they faced consecutively stronger teams.
Unfortunately, they faced Wadid's prediction.
That actually, it felt like, because even in that Game 5 against Halma, they were in a pretty good spot. But today, there was none of that. Like, they were very clearly outclassed. And that's a bit of a rough ending. I still think this team will be one of our top contenders throughout the rest of the year. But wasn't meant to be in this one.
No, but it is now time for the POM interview, so let's throw it over to Ji-Sun for some translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is, in fact, a post-match interview with the entire squad, including the POM player, who was Chovy. So we are here joined by 4 players on the Gen G side because Ruler needs a little more time, and also Coach Kim. A clean 3-0. Keen, did you see this coming? Well, honestly, not at all. Well, even before the match today, I was kind of doubting whether we can actually win or not, but I'm very glad that we got this clean 3-0. In fact, Jonas Strong predicted a 3-0 win for Gen G. Did any of the Gen G players predict the 3-0 Gen G? Well, none, because our performance until today was pretty disappointing, so we didn't even see this 3-0 coming. And you mentioned previously that because of the current meta, top laners can't really make a lot of flexible plays, but today we were able to see a very organic play coming from the Gen G players. How was it today? I mean, everyone did a fantastic job today, so I was able to kind of get carried. What would you like to focus on the top lane matchup in the finals? You versus Zeus. We played up against each other for so many times, so we have a lot of information about each other. So I think drafting will be very important.
기인 선수와 인터뷰 나눠봤습니다. 자, 이어서 캐년 선수 만나보겠습니다. 캐년 선수 오늘 이렇게 승리하고 결승전 진출할 거 예상하셨을까요?
Were you expecting this kind of a clean win and qualifying for the finals? I mean, I really wanted to win for sure. And then we actually got a clean 3-0, which I did not expect. I saw an interview where you said you and Duro together are discussing a lot about the level 1 pathing. So what was the main focus when it comes to the matchup up against D plus Kia? Well, it was not D plus Kia specific kind of strategy. We just wanted to go over our own play and decide how we're gonna play out the map in the earlier phase. Now that you qualified for the LCK Cup finals, and if you win the championship, you will qualify for the new international tournament, the first stand. What is your resolution? If we can actually win the LCK Cup, I would really want to win the first stand as well. We will do our best. Chovy. Genji's win streak up against D plus Kia continues. Now you guys are on a 17-match win streak. Well, yes, 2 days before you mentioned that you're going to be the challenger up against D plus Kia, but you managed to get the win. How do you feel? I'm very glad that we were able to take down D plus Kia. I expected us to be the challenger for sure. Was there any specific or special preparation for the D plus Kia match? To be completely honest, we didn't really have much time, so nothing really special, you know. But just like Kenyon mentioned, we wanted to go over a lot about our early jungle pathing together with the support. And what's important about the win today is that you guys got 3 wins on the red side. A lot of teams are showing a higher win rate on the blue side, so what are your thoughts about the side balance? I mean, it depends on the champ select. And so far, our drafting and our performance was not up to par. But today, I think we were able to do our best in any kind of areas possible. And tomorrow will be the finals. What is your mindset and resolution? Yes, it's gonna happen right tomorrow, but we are very confident right now because of the performance that we were able to display today. So I will make sure to get the best results possible. Now, Duro, you guys were able to defeat D plus Kia, who was on an amazing momentum. Well, in the previous match, we could see your struggle a little bit on the player cam, but today you were wearing a big smile. How are you feeling? Well, we have gone through a lot so far, you know, but we, in the end, overcame so many of the difficulties. So it means even more, you know. It's more rewarding that we finally made it to the finals. The previous Nongshim match, you know, you seemed very frustrated, but today you even mentioned that you are kind of awakened. What kind of mindset were you bringing to the match today? I mean, me together with Kenyon had so much conversation about the jungle pathing and the movement together. Also, we were having our coaching staff joining us in the conversation as well. And because of that kind of talk and discussion, I was able to learn so much in such a short period of time. And then today, I was able to kind of show what I've learned. Duro, this is gonna be your first ever LCK roster kind of championship if you manage to get a win tomorrow. What is your resolution? I really wish I can win tomorrow. I want to make sure that I will continue the form that we showed today. Now, Coach Kim, how are you feeling to make it to the LCK Cup finals? We were on the losers bracket and we barely won the series last time up against Nongshim, so I was so relieved. And then we got another win today, and then we are now at the finals. I hope we can continue this form and get a win tomorrow as well. What was your main focus today?
한 점은 이제 저희가 초반 단계에서 계속 유충 싸움을
Early on in the game, you know, especially the grub fight, because we were very weak around the grub, so we wanted to bring out better strategy and better kind of tactic around the grub setup. And then I think our performance overall was very shaky, so we wanted to go back to the fundamentals.
그래서 오늘 깔끔한 승리를 챙겨 가셨는데 선수들에게 좀 칭찬하고 싶은 장면이 있으실까요?
Highlight from today, you know, what was the best play so far? I mean, I think it was just pure perfection. All 5 players were doing a wonderful job, so I can't really choose one. I think we were just on the very low last time. I think we are now back onto the right track. I hope we can continue this tomorrow as well.
성공적인 복수를 바라고 있을 팬분들께 결승전 각오
I'm pretty sure the Genji fans are wishing for Genji's revenge. What is your resolution or any final words for the Genji fans? I think our players can get a little bit nervous because it's the finals, especially Juro, the rookie player, relative rookie player. But you know, don't get intimidated because it's the grand finals. You know, you guys are gonna do great. Hopefully tomorrow we can hoist the trophy or the cup together.
오늘 룰러 선수의 인터뷰도 또 나눠봤어야 하는데
Unfortunately, Ruler will not be able to join us for the interview, but we were able to hear from all 4 players and Coach Keen on the Genji side. Once again, congratulations on your victory, and we wish you all the best tomorrow in the finals as well. And that's gonna be the end of the interview with the Genji players and the coach, and back to the space. Thank you.
It's great to hear from the Genji players, Coach Kim. I think much needed for the development of this squad, who had such high expectations coming into the season, have had trouble getting over the hump, and then put it all together when it matters. Their tournament lives on the line with a 3-0 sweep against D+ Kia. They're the votes. Spread all over because everyone played well. Everyone played well.
Yeah, I can't really argue against any of these votes, to be honest. I think I actually also considered voting for Duro as well at some point during this series. He had such a phenomenal glow up here. I think it's great to hear Coach Kim kind of being like, okay, we had a day, we focused on the grubs, we were able to get our thought processes in order, we knew where we were weak, especially against Nongshim there. I mentioned it on the day, you know, there's only so much time to actually improve and get ready for today's D+ series, but that kind of close, tight, barely winning series might be the one you can learn the most from. I think both today and 2 days ago, in some chaotic games, Chovy looked the most stable, and so he was my vote again.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I already mentioned so many details that he made for the game, so I would make it simple. Mid-gap. I think Showmaker didn't perform well against Chovy. I feel like every team fight, Chovy's positioning, the details, I mean, it was really awesome to see that.
Yeah, again, I don't think there's a bad vote here. I know people might be throwing some like Giga Chads or Keck W's in the chat, but everyone played well. Here's Chronicler's vote up for the top side of the map. When I play, every champ looks like it was released in 2025. Obviously, the new champ buff is what he's referring to. And again, Keen has just been so consistent for the squad. I'm the OG D+ jungler, Lil Bro. Dan dropping Lil Bro. Again, you know, Canyon been around for a little while. Reigning Rookie of the Year is Lucid, so the Lil Bro just adds a little insult to injury. Wait, Keen test is indeed difficult. I like that. Oh, Jonas Strong.
Jonas Strong's comment, by the way.
You know what? That's what happens when you see the future. You get to join the comments list. What do you think?
I mean,
Keen test?
I think it's pretty realistic. Shu didn't have the greatest time.
Yeah.
Ruler of the Rift here from Coco. I thought Ruler had a pretty phenomenal early start to the series, especially. Wasn't necessarily the main character in the last 2 games, but in game 1, big plays on the Ezreal.
I mean, he was playing supportive AD carries like Ashe and Varus, you know, which is AD carries normally don't want to play them. So Aiming did some kind of have fun with the hyper carries, but yeah, Ruler choose right choice right there.
Yeah, the Great Wall of Keen, impenetrable, not able to, you know, get through. Again, he was dominant in that series. And a good learning lesson for D+ as they move over to the LCK regular season. Final thoughts here on D+.
I think it was a really disappointing performance from the D+ players today. I don't feel like we really got to see the maximum potential of them and what they showed us leading up until this best of 5. I think Genji had a great day. There were a lot of improvements made, but I also think it was an underperformance for D+. feel a little bit robbed, but I am at least happy that D Plus will have the opportunity to show us a good regular season match. Great start for an org that was kind of up and down, now looking like an elite team once again after a few years.
Yeah, I feel like they just didn't play the game, you know. Whenever we see DK playing, it was really enjoyable, you know, with the picks, with the momentum, with the tempo. I feel like everything was gone today just randomly, but I feel like Genji was just so much better as a team, and I think like just in general, I feel like Genji players had better ideas about the game, so yeah.
Yeah, and that is what great teams do. They make sure that the game is difficult, no gimmicks, and D Plus did not answer the call today as Genji find themselves victory. We will have an interview here on the English desk in just a little bit with Keen, our player of the match. Is there something you'd like to ask Keen here, Wolf?
I mean, honestly, there's so many questions we have for Keen, but
yeah, that's true.
I really, if I could ask him one thing, I'd ask him how he kind of keeps his mind stable in some of these really rocky series that Genji have had, where he's playing as if they're ahead, like he's playing so confidently, he's not making really any big mistakes, whereas the rest of his team sometimes making some errors when it gets tense and when they're not in control. Just kind of like, how does he keep the meditation almost, it feels like?
Yeah, that's actually same for me, because when we hear their voice comms, actually when Diro said, "Oh, I'm awakened," Keen actually said, "Oh guys, Nexus didn't fall yet, so we gotta focus on Nexus." So I mean, I just wanna know how he's keeping up those like pressure, and also like he's still like really focusing on the game, you know. So I just wanna know the tips about like how focused on the game.
All right, well, you don't have to wait long. We're gonna have Keen coming in just a little bit. Stick around. The interview with Keen. There he is, our player of the match, and heading back on over to the finals. It is Keen from Genji joining us. Welcome. 반갑습니다.
반갑습니다.
All right. Oh, Keen, for the last match, in the previous match against Nongshim, we got to interview Coach Kim, and he said sternly, as a team, you had many things that you needed to work on, but Genji looked very, very good today. What was the point of improvement from yesterday to today?
사실 지난 농심전 끝나고 저희가 김정수 감독님을 모시고 인터뷰를 진행했을 때는 꽤나 단호하게 우리 보완해야 될 부분이 정말 많은 것 같다라고 말씀해 주셨는데요. 오늘 굉장히 하루 만에 준비 시간 만에 엄청난 발전을 보여주셨다고 생각합니다. 어느 부분에 집중해서 이렇게 개선된 경기력이 나올 수 있었나요?
일단 저희가 이제 경기 중에 계속 좀 움직임 같은 것들이 너무 경직되고 좀 상대방을 좀 계속 따라간다 약간 그런 느낌을 많이 받아가지고 이제 그런 움직임부터 시작해가지고 이제 저희가 할 거 과감하게 하자 약간 이런 쪽으로 좀 얘기를 많이 나눴던 것 같습니다.
In the past matches, I felt like we were like frozen. You know, we were not proactive at all. We were just being chased by the opponents, or we were just following them. So we wanted to make sure that next time, let's just play our game.
All right. Well, in the Korean post-match interview, right after the match ended, you mentioned you weren't fully sure that you were going to win today, and I appreciated that honesty. How do you balance confidence with managing doubt?
그리고 방금 경기 종료 인터뷰에서 솔직하게 오늘 경기장에 오면서도 우리가 이길지 말지 확신이 없었다라고 해주셨는데 이런 상황 속에서 자신감을 어떻게 잘 유지하면서도 또 의구심을 잘 떨쳐버릴 수 있나요?
사실 뭐 당연히 자신감이 없었던 건 아닌데 이제 아무래도 그 전에 경기력이 좀 안 좋았다 보니까 좀 위축된 그런 느낌도 있었는데 그래도 경기장에서 막상 대회를 이제 하다 보니까 그런 감정보다는 좀 계속 집중해서 좀 그런 감정들이 먼저 되는 것 같아서 그냥 자연스럽게 좀 그런 위축되고 그런 모습들이 좀 없어졌던 것 같습니다.
Well, of course we had some doubts, but it doesn't mean that, you know, we're not confident at all. You know, we still had some confidence. It was more about the recent games and matches that we played that were very kind of disappointing. But today, after the games got started, we were able to warm up and kind of realize that we were doing a very great job. So I just went with the vibe that I was feeling in game, and then we were able to play at ease.
Oh, you definitely did. Let's speak about the team now. You're returning along with Canyon and with Chovy and have new members, Ruler and Duro, coming back in. What has been easy as they've come back in, and what has taken some more work to fit them back in?
젠지 라인업도 살짝 바뀌었잖아요. 상체는 그대로고 이제 바텀 듀오가 새로운 이제 팀원들과 함께하게 되었는데요. 어떤 부분은 합을 맞추기 쉬웠고 어떤 부분은 좀 시간이 오래 걸렸나요?
사실 이제 상체끼리는 이제 좀 아무래도 작년에 한 게 있어서 이제 말을 안 해도 어느 정도 이제 같이 되는 그런 게 있었는데 이제 아무래도 바텀 듀오가 새로 들어오기도 했고 계속 라인 수업에서는 좀 바텀이 주가 된다고 생각을 해서 이제 그런 부분에 있어서 다시 새로 맞춰야 된다는 게 이제 탑 입장에서는 조금 힘든 부분도 있었던 것 같아요.
Because the top side of the map, we've been together the entire year last year, so we don't even have to speak about what we're going to do next. You know, we just read our minds. But because we have the new bot duo and because of the current lane swap meta, I think personally that bot duos are the main character of lane swap. So it was very difficult for me to kind of get used to it and adjust it to the new bottom duo to get there coming with the lane swap situation.
Ah, I see. When it comes to Fearless Draft and your champ pool, which is very big, how do you enjoy Fearless Draft, and do you like it more than regular draft?
기인 선수는 또 챔프 폭이 굉장히 넓으신데 그런 만큼 피어리스 드래프트를 어떻게 잘 즐기고 계신지 기존 뱀픽과 비교했을 때 어떤 모드가 더 마음에 드시나요?
좀 장점 단점이 있는 것 같은데 장점이라고 한다면은 좀 아무래도 연습 때도 좀 그동안 못 해본 챔피언들 하면서 이제 재미를 느낀 챔피언들도 좀 있었고 이제 좀 단점이라고 한다면은 좀 그 챔피언의 자신감이 좀 많이 있는 챔피언이 한 번 쓰면 다음에는 좀 못 쓰게 되는 그런 느낌이 좀 아쉬운 것 같아요.
For sure, Fearless has both good and the bad. You know, good thing is that even in scrims, I get to play some new champions. For me personally, I get to find some new friends that were really fun to play. But the downside is that when you play your favorite or your like strongest champion one time, now it's gone. So you cannot really repeat the same dominance again.
A follow-up to that. In the finals, do you have a Fearless champion that you haven't played yet in mind? You don't have to say who it is.
결승전에 혹시 뭐 구체적으로 어떤 픽이다라고 말해주실 필요는 없지만 또 이제 나만의 준비한 피어리스 무기가 있을까요?
아직 대회 안 꺼낸 챔피언은 있는데 솔직히 이게 나올지는 잘 모르겠어가지고 그냥 일단 재미는 있어서 뭐 계속 한 번씩 해보고 있는 것 같습니다.
For sure, but I'm not really even sure that whether I can actually play it on stage, but it is for sure very fun to play, so I'm excited. We'll see.
All right, we'll see. Well, you've actually opened up your Twitter account, which has been very active. But did you know your number one fan on Twitter is sitting right next to you here? It's Jisun. Did you know that Jisun was your number one fan?
트위터 굉장히 활발하게 활동하시고 사실 엄청난 구독자거든요. 모든 트윗을 제가 이 물결 말투와 함께 즐기고 있는데 알고 계셨나요?
사실 트위터를 최근에는 안 들어갔어가지고 그 전에는 이제 댓글 달아주신 거 이제 봤었는데 최근에는 들어가진 않았는데 계속 달아주실 줄은 몰랐네요.
Actually, I haven't checked my Twitter recently, so I didn't know. I was like, Jisun was like spamming replies up until these days, but I've seen in the past that I was like frequently replying to his tweets, so he was impressed.
That's right. Don't forget to use your flash, y'all. That's what one of those says. All right. And if you had to vote for... Oh, wait. No, I have one more. My Korean is ready. 왜 구글이에요? 기구리.
왜 기구리인가요?
That's his nickname.
이제 팬분들이 이제 개구리 그런 캐릭터를 닮았다고 많이 해주시고 그리고 또 이름이 기인이라서 그냥 합쳐서 약간 기구리 이런 쪽으로 많이 하는 것 같아요.
So my fans gave me this nickname because there's this froggy character that I kind of look alike. So and my name is also Kiin. So Kiin and Keguri together works really well. So I went with Kiguri.
Kiguri. Got it. I like that one. If you had to vote for player of the match, who would it be and what would the comment be? And you can still vote for yourself.
오늘 나도 POM을 뽑을 수 있다면 누구에게 투표할 건지 본인 포함 그리고 나의 한 줄 코멘트는 무엇일까요?
솔직히 오늘 경기에서는 저보다는 그래도 힘내준 그래도 듀로 이제 민규가 POM이 됐으면 좋겠네요.
한 줄 코멘트는?
한 줄. 그거 use your flash.
I would like to give it over to Duro, who was able to step up so much today. So yeah, use your flash.
Yeah, love that one there. And then finally, you're heading into the match, into the finals with a single day to prepare. What do you want out of this finals? It could be the win, it could be play well. What do you want out of this finals?
그럼 다가오는 결승전은 어떤 모습을 가장 보여주고 싶으신가요? 꼭 우승하고 싶다든지 뭐 이런 경기력을 보여주고 싶다든지.
일단 당연히 우승하는 모습을 보여드리고 싶고 그래도 이제 우승을 하지 못하더라도 팀적으로 계속 완성된 모습 보여드리는 게 이제 두 번째 목표인 것 같습니다.
Of course, first and foremost, I would really want to win the cup or the trophy. And secondly, even if we might not be able to achieve that, I want to showcase our firm and strong and solid performance together as a team.
Last question, please address to your fans. What would you like to say to them?
마지막으로 팬분들께 한마디 부탁드립니다.
Thank you very much.
Wow, Keen, everyone, thank you so much for joining us on stage. Congratulations to making it to the LCK Cup Finals.
축하드리고요. 인터뷰 너무너무 감사드립니다.
All right. Well, with that, again, Keen has done it and will be moving on to the LCK Finals against Hanwha Life Esports, a rematch against Hanwha Life Esports like what we had in the summer finals of last year. So Gen G just dominant in this game thanks to that man there. It was just a great performance by Gen G. D+, back to the drawing board as they're going to have to just think about the opportunities that they missed and lost there. But we're not done yet with the interviews. We have one more very special guest joining us on here as we always do predictions and we like to try and, do our best. We have analysts, we have hosts, but only one, Jonah Strong, joining us, the teller of the future. Somehow, after watching Gen G struggle against the 6th-seeded Nongshim, he said they're going to 3-0 the number 1 seed. Jonah Strong, welcome.
Hi, I'm Jonah Strong. Nice to meet you.
Woo! Jonah Strong, you are known amongst the English-speaking fans for your insane predictions. How do you always get them right?
예측의 신으로 또 글로벌 팬분들께 알려져 있는데 어떻게 매번 이렇게 미래를 보고 정답을 가져오시는 건가요?
그냥 아무래도 게임을 제일 가까이서 제일 많이 보다 보니까 좀 그런 면에서 이제 약간 감이 좋아질 수밖에 없지 않나 생각을 합니다.
Well, because I am the one watching the game at like the closest, I'm always observing first-person view almost like. So I guess I have the best insights possible.
I see. Because he sees all of the rift he can tell the future. That's apparently how that works. All right. Well, I'm not sure if you knew, but your dear friend Woori has not been right in his predictions. You know, he's right in life, but not in predictions. Here's all of his predictions. He's been the cursor of predictions.
So are you
what do you think about this situation?
Are you going to ask him, like, can you ask him why he always gets it wrong? Like,
well, what do you think about this situation?
또 이제 친한 와디드는 거의 리버스 조나스트롱이거든요. 지금 항상 거의 다 틀리고 지금 와디드의 저주가 있는데 왜 이렇게 맨날 틀리다고 생각하세요?
It's true. This is reason why he can't pro.
Oh no! Oh no!
No!
I don't think that one needed a translation. We love you on the desk, we did.
So to be a pro, you also got to be good at preds.
Yes.
Today we learned.
Yes, today we learned.
Sorry, Woodid. I guess you might have to make a comeback a little bit later.
I'm knocked out, by the way. I can't say anything.
Woodid's witchcraft will stay here on the desk and not on the Rift. Okay, and for today, for player of the match, you chose Keen, and usually we don't get to hear your reasoning for the pick. So we got to see your comment, but why did you pick Keen when everyone played well and you were still right on player of the match?
POM 투표한 것도 우리가 코멘트는 볼 수 있었는데 조금 더 구체적으로 기인 선수를 뽑은 이유가 궁금합니다.
개인적으로는 그 5명의 선수가 다 잘했다고 생각은 하지만 기인 선수가 그래도 제일 그 굳건 단단하게 약간 중간중간에 해야 할 플레이도 굉장히 잘해주고 그리고 담원의 그 시우 선수라는 이제 새로운 그 캐리 라인을 완벽하게 잘 눌러준 것 같아가지고 기인 선수를 이제 골랐습니다.
Yeah, I agree that all 5 members on the Gen.G side did a fantastic job, but I think Keen was definitely the solid one. He knew what he was supposed to do when the team needed him. So he was doing all kind of the plays that he was supposed to do as a top laner. And also, most important thing was D+ now has Siu, another carry laner on their side, and he was able to kind of neutralize him perfectly.
Jenna Strong, I need to ask a couple more, 2 more questions. One, when are you going to start coaching? Which team are you going to start coaching in the LCK?
코치 언제 시작하실 건지 어느 팀 코치 맡고 싶으세요?
코치를 할 수만 있다면 이제 당연히 이제 잘하는 원딜들이 있는 팀이 좋긴 한데 아니 저는 이제 그런 쪽에 이제 영 재능이 없을 것 같아서 네 하던 일 열심히 하려고 합니다.
I mean, if I can get a chance, I would love to, and I would love to coach a team that has a great AD carry player. For context, he's an AD carry player as well. I would love to do so, but I feel like I don't have the talent to be the best coach possible, so I will stick with what I'm doing right now.
I disagree with this because this is the last one. Last question. For those of you that don't know, Jenna Strong is a crazy bowler. He is going to hit 300, has hit 300. When is the next time you're going to hit a perfect game in bowling? 300. 언제?
볼링은 언제? 그 300점 언제 달성하실 건가요? 커리어 하이.
I was lucky puncher, so I can't perfect game.
All right, humble in success. Jenna Strong, the future teller. Congratulations on getting all the predictions right, and we cannot wait to see who you predict for tomorrow. Thank you, Jenna Strong. And
Should we ask him?
Yeah, let's ask him.
결승전 승부 예측도 한번 화끈하게 오늘 말씀해주고 가시죠.
아니 오늘 경기를 봐서 조금 약간 고민해봐야 될 것 같은데. 그래도 하나 쪽이 좀 더 승률이 높아 보이긴 하는데 일단 집에 가서 고민을 좀 더 해보겠습니다.
I think I need a little more time because of the match today. I'm slightly towards Hana Life, but I think I have to go over this.
Get the sausages in chat. That's a little sausage. That's a little
He needs
weird.
time to process.
I see.
He just doesn't want to give us the true answer.
Oh, because we're gonna copy.
Yeah. All right, everyone, all the views, all the angles, catching all the action. Jenna Strong, thank you so much for joining us, and it's been great to watch your predictions over the years. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. Thank you.
Teach me, master. Teach me.
All right, and with that, that's the playoffs, most of the playoffs here, as one match remains in the first ever LCK Cup. It has been a doozy as we had all those 5 gamers. We come in today, we expect the 5-gamer, and it's a dominant Gen.G, which was not great for this series, but brilliant for the build-up for the grand finals.
Yeah, I mean, look, tomorrow is where everything gets decided. Who's going to first stand? Who's going to be LCK's representative? I think most people very low on Gen.G coming into today. Most people not named Jenna Strong or Atlas in this case. But after today, I think a lot of minds will be changed. I'm pretty conflicted. I hope we get a longer series. I hope we get some back and forth because today we didn't really get to see it, but I love to see Gen.G improve at such a fast rate. I mean, just one day off, and then it's a completely different team.
They finally got their fundamentals back, so it feels like it's gonna be a really close match, but Jonas Strong said it feels like it's kind of HLE favor.
Wait, I didn't hear him say that. I'm not trusting anything from what did.
But you know what?
I'm not trusting anything from what did. Jonas Strong, no, Chad, did you hear that?
Yo.
Everyone at home, did you hear that? I didn't hear anything.
No, what I'm saying is that I'm thinking about Gen.G right now. I'm feeling more Gen.G side, so maybe it's time to like prove myself once again.
All I know is I'm probably going to not predict what you predict. What you
No,
if I see yours first, I'm going to look the other way.
What do you mean? Like,
we made a lower third of what we meant with did. It hasn't been a great prediction for what did. All right, everyone.
Woodid hasn't been bullied on this space yet.
Yeah,
it's the first time.
He is getting it. Welcome to the space, buddy. It's been great having you
Thanks.
here. And it's been great having all of you at home throughout the 2025 LCK Cup. One more match remains. It is our grand finals. Hanwha Life Esports and Gen.G, a rematch of last year's finals, but the journeys there has been anything but direct, and we hope that the matches tomorrow will be just as fun. On behalf of everyone here at the LCK, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for the final match of the LCK Cup.